edits, no mask, just truth in the air. Laughs in the room, real talk everywhere. Late night thoughts say how we feel. This ain't for the fake, this is something real. Uncut conversations, new perspectives in the mix. Pull the curtain back, yeah. Time to drop the filter, listen close to this. Beyond the filter, we say it all. Real voices, no blue when the truth calls. We transcendence, don't mean same chest too. Pull up a seat, this one's for you. Beyond the filter, beyond the filter, where the real ones speak. Beyond the filter, where the real ones speak. Where the real ones speak. Yeah, yeah. Turn it up, let it breathe. No edits, no mask, just truth in the air. Laughs in the room, real talk everywhere. Late night thoughts say how we feel. This ain't for the fake, this is something real. Uncut conversations, new perspectives in the mix. Pull the curtain back, yeah. Time to drop the filter, listen close to this. Beyond the filter, we say it all. Real voices, no blue when the truth calls. We transcendence, don't mean same chest too. Pull up a seat, this one's for you. Beyond the filter, beyond the filter, where the real ones speak. Beyond the filter, where the real ones speak. Where the real ones speak.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
How are you?
Listen, I wish I could complain, but I can't. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I feel good. Happy to be here.
I know that's right. And thank y'all
Happy to
for
be
joining us.
here.
You what?
I said just happy to be here.
I
I
know
just
that's right.
repeated it,
So that
honey.
means you very happy to be here. You are uh ecstatic to be here.
I am. This is a good. This is always a good night for me.
Oh, nice. What make it so good?
Get just getting to, of course, to spend time with you. We act the food and talk our shit and but just getting to know people and getting to hear what they want to talk about and
Yeah.
And then reading the comments is also really inspiring because as we're talking, they're talking, and
Mhm.
so that makes it enjoyable just to engage with the
That
with people like you just don't really normally get to do
yeah.
outside of like a pageant setting or a club setting.
Mhm.
I think it's just good to have good conversation.
I think so too. Make sure
Yeah.
y'all click like and click share. We got a very special guest today, Mrs. Gia Tajoure. One of the first Tajoures I ever met. Back in the day, back in when I was doing little newcomer pageants and stuff. So it should be very exciting to talk to Gia about her journey in this thing. Um, we had fun on Point of View last night, but we went a long time. I was sleepy.
Wasn't it? Was it? It was 3. Was
Almost
it?
3 hours.
It was almost 3 hours. Let me tell you something. Since you brought it up, because
Oh,
I was not gonna bring it up.
I'm tired.
My internal clock, it starts to shut down
Mhm.
probably about 10:30. My internal clock is winding down. It's telling my body, okay,
Okay.
it's time to let me rest. I'm still up moving. Why am I still up and moving?
Mhm.
Last night, child, my brain started shutting down. I was like, come on, let's just try to make it till she dismisses us. But
Ah. And it's so funny because I had to go to do a, career day at one of my great friends. He's a principal at a school, at an elementary school, so I had to be up very early because the drive was, like, almost an hour to get
ooh,
there, and by the time I wind down to go try to lay down, I could not go to sleep. I
so you
ended up
stayed
not going
up.
listen, I ended up not going to sleep until, like, 4 something in the morning. I had to be right
Mm.
back up at 6 something in the morning, right? But, I'm used to that I'm used to keeping that type of time anyway, so I did it. But when I got back to the house, I crashed, it was like, ooh, but the career day was so interesting,
Yes, tell me
because
about
I'm
it.
like I was talking to kindergartens, I was talking to, kindergartners, I was talking to 1st, 2nd, all the way up to 5th grade, and those kids some kids were just I don't know, they weren't that attentive, so I'm like, "Ah, what the fuck am" I said, "I'm like,
Mm.
listen," I said, "Imma get, my friend Panay." I said, "Imma get Panay. Why the fuck he got me up here talking to kindergartens?" But there was a little 2nd grade girl told me, she said, "Oh, yeah, I'm a makeup artist too. I'm a professional makeup artist." I said, "Oh, tell me all about it." And she was like, "Yeah, I do blush and eyeshadow and the" I said, "Really?" I said, "How long you been a professional makeup artist?" "Oh, I don't remember how long." But they are so cute and they're so adorable and they're so musty. I said, when I left, I said, "Imma send some, deodorant, a box of deodorant back up here so that these babies don't" "Hey, Jawakatima. Hey, Jonathan. Jawakatima, anytime you're ready, you let me know." Uh, but it was a good time. I'm glad I went because, I had my little jewelry on. I had my little Gucci. Hey, Kendall. I had my little so one little boy asked me, he said, "Are you rich?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, I see you got that Gucci, them all that Gucci on, and look at these diamonds." And I said, "That's not important." I said, "What's important?" I said, "What's important is you make sure you get your school work. And you make sure you
You
make good grades and all this stuff." But they were so adorable. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I
That's
went.
good. That's good. I mean, because you just never know, what flower you may water when
Yeah.
you go to do things like that, and that's important because with everything that's happening, um, especially with around young people and the things that they are seeing, they need to be inspired by something else than somebody twerking on a video
Yeah.
or so I'm very glad that you did it, and I'm really glad that you had a really good time.
And so much so, one of the, parents found my email because what they had we had a big screen TV, so they put up my Instagram and showed different pictures and, the process and stuff, and one lady emailed me, said, "My daughter met you today, and she only want you to do her makeup." She said, "You're the best makeup artist ever," right? And just from the little interaction, right? And she was like, "She's having a party, and we would love for you to come do her and her friends' makeup," but I don't think Imma do that. I don't be dealing with no damn children, but, um
What they what are they talking about cash wise?
well, they in public school.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And then just my nerves get bad too. Them kids were so loud and they were, the attention span was short. I said, oh, my nerves too bad for this.
Okay.
My nerves too bad. How was your day though?
It was good, just pageant prepping, and
How's that coming along?
it's coming along real well. But and we can talk to Gia about this when she comes on.
Okay.
I don't mind competing. It's the preparation part I cannot stand,
Oh, I can imagine.
because it's just so much that has to go into it. But then but then what I hate, because we kind of talked about this last night, it's just trying to shut out the outside noise. And
Mm,
everybody trying to be like, well, I think this, or you say, well, what they'll be like, what are you doing? Oh, but don't do that. And so sometimes you just be wanting to shut people out and shut people out, because you have your key advisors. And sometimes I think that some people, I think they believe they're being helpful, but at the same time they're causing harm and self-doubt in
mhm,
your mind. And
mhm.
and I think that people need to realize, even if you're trying to be helpful, you know, s- sometimes delivery means everything.
True,
Yeah,
true.
delivery means everything, and nobody wants to feel like you're trying to tell them, oh, that you don't know what you're doing. It's like, okay, but I'm really excited. I'm not nervous yet.
It's
I'm not,
okay to be nervous though, if you are.
but I think I will be as we approach the event. But honey, this may be it. This may
Mm,
be it.
yeah.
You
Hey,
know.
Dexter, my
Oh,
red
look.
carpet co-host,
Hey,
MGA
hey,
alumni.
hon.
How are you? Trayson, yeah, they do got the money. I know. Listen, when I used to work at Mac, I remember my manager telling me, I don't care if they're a little child or what, they got the money to spend. Don't count their money, right? I had a
Hmm.
parent spend over $500 for a child makeup one time. Like, man, this shit is wild. And that was back in the early 2000s. So, $500 went a little further back then. Yeah,
Well, honey, you might need to go ahead and jump up on that. But you said dealing with those kids though
yeah. I
would be a
mean,
lot for you.
I'm tell you something. I gotta stop blaming everything on my goddamn nerves. But I stopped smoking weed, so I don't have nothing that's really calm. Today, I think I needed a little weed.
to
I think
to
I needed
calm
a
your nerves.
yeah, I think I need but yeah, yeah. I had a
Hey,
topic I wanted to
Ace.
talk about before.
Sure.
Shout out Ace, what's up? Jawaka team, I know them 5th graders stink.
Hmm.
And the teacher said, I said, "We're gonna get these babies some deodorant." And then they said, the lady said, "Baby, this the early part of the day. You ought to catch them at the end." And they still had a little dance to go to and stuff. And I was just like,
Honey, that
oh,
body chemistry is different, baby.
oh. Do at any point though you feel like I just saw Vancy Vega
Hmm.
um drop out of Glamorous.
Hmm.
Said because coming out of retirement or whatever, or have not been able to do a pageant in a while, she didn't just want to go no any kind of way. But you don't feel that type of pressure, do you? Like
No, of that she didn't feel that she was going the way that she wanted to go, so she
she
just
didn't
wasn't going to go at all.
right, right. And she was already secretly prepared for something else and she wanted to go ahead and,
Hmm.
successfully do that.
Hey, Gemini. Um,
Hey Gemini.
no, I totally understand,
Okay.
because it's especially when you already have you have a reputation, and people are used to seeing you in a certain light, or you've always come so strong when you are on the competition stage. Sometimes the pressure of meeting that standard each time you get on stage, yeah, sometimes you do decide to make that decision that, yeah, whatever the reason may be, this money's not gonna come in like I need it to, so I can have the type of package that I want. So it's just best that I not do it at all, because it's your own personal standard that you want to live up to, and that's important to you.
Mhm.
because sometimes people will try to talk you into it anyway and be like, you so and so, you gonna be fine. But so people have gotten pleasantly surprised by approaching a competition that way because their name did not carry them as if people were trying to tell them that that it would. So
Mhm.
I totally get it. I totally get it. And for me personally, if you don't feel like you're about to put your best to the stage, then why do it?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, I feel the same way you feel. Like if you don't do if you're not gonna bring the noise, it's a lot of money at stake. It's $15,000 at
Hmm.
stake. You don't, and then the first runner-up prize is such a drop from the winner prize. So you
Hmm.
really want to go down there and tear ass up and beat ass and put belt to ass. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, I get that wholeheartedly. That's why, like I was telling you last night, when you sponsor people and they drop out of pageant, I never understand why people want the money back that they sponsored for them because, like, it don't mean they didn't want buying stuff and getting stuff out the way. That means that
Hmm.
something happened where it prevents them from going. They
Right.
can take their package somewhere else. They can
And I
take
mean,
it.
and it does happen. Go ahead, Trent.
Go ahead.
No, because it does happen. It does happen because the last time I was supposed to go to Continental Elite under Dream Girl,
Mhm.
I
I
was
remember.
preparing, but then I was offered a major position with the organization that I work for,
Mhm.
and I had to make a decision. But I had to make a long term decision, and that long term decision was don't go to the pageant. Let's focus on this. But thank God they didn't ask me for the money back. But I mean, I could have said, well, hey, if you want the shoes that I bought, I'll send you those. But as far as me saying, you know, here's your money back, that's not about to happen. Now I can understand if you come to find out that someone was doing other type of things with the money.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't give you this money so you could, you know, be going to the Beyonce concert and stuff like that. Now that, yeah, I may have to ask you to go ahead and run me my money back because you didn't
Wait a
spend it on,
minute.
on no package.
Oh shit. Well, yeah. I don't know. I guess when you give away that money, you just giving away that money because sometimes
You just give it, yeah,
you just giving. You don't worry about getting it back from the person you give it to. God will bless you
yeah.
in the grand scheme of things because you was just in a place to give. But like,
Hmm.
don't worry about it. It's my like when people win, they ain't like they give you some of their prize package anyway. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause they still be having to pay stuff off. I remember I heard an entertainer say one time, it was like months after the pageant, she said, "Child, I'm still paying off stuff from such and such." And I'm like, and I never looked at it like these people be having like bills to pay off in pageantry, even after the pageant is over, whether they
Yeah.
win, lose, or draw, And I was like, damn,
Hmm.
this shit is really too goddamn expensive. Like, should we drop one of these categories, one of these judge categories out of these goddamn pageants? Because it's just so fucking expensive. But hey, I don't own a pageant. Um, and I just don't know. I just don't know. Sh Denise, you don't ask for sponsorship, girl. You got 462 kids, 987 grandkids, and a host of
Does
nieces and
she does
nephews.
she have to extra sponsorship if she's got that? Because there are some people, but some
Denise, you
people
need to
will.
be asking them kids. You get $10 a piece from your family, baby. You'll be able
She'll
to
be
do,
sad.
baby,
Yeah.
baby, baby. And she done started so many drag careers for people and helped so many people win. I know they be just throwing money at you. Um, Shout out to Stanisha. She's getting ready for Sweetheart. She dropped her picture today. I saw it. Letting
Oh,
the
I see.
girls know she coming.
Let me look because I,
Okay.
I have not seen it, so I'm about to look right now.
No,
But
she got
pageantry is expensive, and I think that if eventually, and nothing's, and let's just be very clear that things are not going to get any cheaper anytime soon.
no, you gotta
It's
learn how to
just
do some
not.
shit yourself too. You gotta learn.
Yeah,
Like, shit. Listen,
yeah.
I used to want Tanisha to win so bad. I wanted to learn how to bead. I used to go down to Texas and look at them gowns front and back and see how they did. I said, "Oh, I'm finna bead me a gown." I said, "You ain't finna bead no damn gown." I said, "Yes,
Mhm,
I am." I said, "'Cause shit too
mhm.
high." You know what I'm saying? You gotta learn how to do some shout out to the Symbol. I saw you doing your
Hey,
work today, Symbol.
Symbol.
Symbol at large, Symbol Plus, Dore Sierra Sunders. I love putting your middle name in it, Dore. I saw you speaking at an engagement
But
today.
I
Shout
love
out to you.
that.
What a beautiful job you've done as
She
the
really has. I'm
reigning
sorry, I keep
queen.
interrupting you, baby
Uh,
daddy.
listen, interrupt me all you want to. I know how to pivot. It's okay.
But
It's
what's
okay.
great, I think, with DeRay, I'm not sure who well, she talked to us on the show about who helped bring her through and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But okay, I'm gonna say one thing, then I'm gonna say another thing.
Okay.
It's great to see someone who wanted to be something, and when they got it, they took it to the ultimate.
Yeah.
And you could see how much they wanted it and how much they understood what being a national title holder is supposed to be about. Because so many people, they just don't get. And I mean, I have my opinion of what makes a national title holder, but and I've said this before on the show that we were supposed to be like the reason why this all started, which started with Gay America, but we were supposed to be the voice and the spokesperson for the community.
Well,
We
what
were
got
supposed to
lost?
and we were supposed to be out there working,
What got lost?
the working on behalf of the pageant and the community part. It became about how much money can I make? How much
Mhm.
can I make the people scream? And
Mhm.
they forgot the
Be
work
more than
that I feel that should have and could have been done had they been using their voices in in a positive way. And so I say that because, just to point out the fact that, she was very exemplary of what it meant to be a national title holder. And with the work that she did, I also feel that that was her way of saying she was grateful for the opportunity
but
to
also
have
too,
to have the
Dominique,
op. Mhm,
also don't you think too that she's had time to have a bunch of experiences in life that led her to this moment? Because she did Black America back in I think '99 or 2000.
mhm,
And, you know, I know a lot of times when people do pageant, they want it right then and there.
mhm,
Sometimes it just ain't your time right now, and I don't think people understand that well, that whenever you win is when it's your time, and I don't care if it take you 15 times, 5 times, whatever it take when you win, it's for you, and God sometimes in our prayers, we ask God for things, but sometimes He don't give it to us until we're ready, and I think what you see with Doré is somebody that was ready, prepared, experienced, and
mhm,
and had the know-how, the wherewithal, and everything it takes
mhm,
to be a national queen that goes beyond just taking a promo picture or doing a national walk. Now it begins
mhm,
to be like, I'm finna get out in the community. They got to hear my voice. I'm about to go to speak at this engagement. I'm about to go do this. A guy in Memphis told me Doré came up to him and started talking to him, and it was like, then she was encouraging him to be a king. Now he's talking about doing pageants and stuff. And so when they say why the newcomers don't step up, well, what are old heads, the people that have been in the game a minute? Why are we not inspiring these people? Why we not seeing something in them? Because it's something in these newcomers. These some bad motherfuckers, if you ask me. I watch how they get them clothes ready. I watch how they get on that stage. They bad. They
mhm,
bad,
mhm,
but they don't have nobody pushing them and saying, "Hey, you can step up if you like." You could because I always told them you can win 20 newcomer pageants.
mhm,
But if you get in a regular pageant and you just make top 5, you would get
mhm.
more notoriety just making the top 5 than you did having 10 newcomer pageants.
Yeah.
But they don't see it that way because everybody wants to be king and everybody wants to be queen. But you have to have a certain amount of experience too to go through this thing. So, you know, I, I want them to encourage these newer people that's out here right now because it's a saturation of entertainers here, but where are they in the pageantry systems? Our old pageants that's been around forever, we're not amassing the numbers that we need, to
Mhm,
sustain like that. I mean, we go because we love it. We
mhm.
go because it's something that we're gonna do and support, but also we wanna see people that we ain't seen in a while. That's why we get so excited about, a new face that steps into place, or somebody who did a talent we ain't seen in a while, something like that. We get so excited because we're waiting on new blood. This is, you
Hey,
know,
Chelsea.
Hey, Chelsea Lauren. Just like when a new artist come out, a singer, you remember
Mhm.
like um we were happy to have new singers. Of course, we love, and I'm going back to my generation. Of course, Whitney to me was the ultimate, right?
Mhm.
But we needed room for Brandon. We needed room for Monica. We needed room for Aaliyah and all this stuff because they can't sing it all the time. They get older, life changes, things happen, you know,
Mhm.
and you know, just because they're younger don't mean they don't need a number one hit or a
Mhm.
Grammy or opportunities that the people has came before them has had. You have to make room. Do you think the entertainers are making room?
Oh my God. See, you want to get me inboxed and cussed out. I don't.
I just
I
because these kids
think,
are badass to me, and I think they need to step up.
but trust and believe the people that you are referring to. They know that,
Okay.
and so since they know that and they recognize that, when you're seen as a threat, nobody wants to try to help pull you up
Mm,
because you still want the limelight to be on you. And if
yeah.
someone else is shining just almost as brightly or just as brightly as you, you're not about to offer nothing extra to them to help them
I
get to that
exactly.
place. And I think that I'm not going to say they because I don't want it to be they, but when I say they, I don't mean everybody, but I'll just say a lot of people, they see them as competition, and they feel that, if I don't give them the training that they need, they won't ever get to where I'm going. And
Mm,
so, but because I mean, when you have some people out there that do, who do, help, want to foster and want to help the newer generation. But right now, it's a dog eat dog world.
it is, and I don't think that old heads realize that the student is supposed to get better than the teacher. They're supposed to. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
When you teach somebody something and you help them curate whatever it is that they want to do, and it's something that you're good at. I remember learning how to play the piano, and my auntie taught me, and I remember getting better than her. You know what I'm saying? I remember her saying, "Well, you're supposed to."
Hmm.
Teacher's supposed to I mean, the student supposed to get better than the teacher. You know what I'm saying? Because what
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you're doing is you're doing what's innately in you, right? Then you
Hmm.
taking
Hmm.
some of the teachings that you're getting from other people and you adding it with what you know. You can't do this. That's a recipe for success, and that's a recipe
Right,
to be better. So when I see somebody that's doing something, and if you do it better than me, hey,
honey.
I fucks with it. I
Listen,
fucks
and,
with it.
and not to mention because when I'm around the younger people, it challenges me.
Mhm.
It shifts my mindset. It makes me think about, am I at whatever wherever part of, at whatever stage of my career that I'm in, am I maxing out my capabilities in this moment, or have I gotten so comfortable that I don't even try to do anything different anymore? And so they too
Mm.
can, so not only can you inspire, you can be inspired.
Cause I
Do
get
you
inspired. I
do you
walk in a
not?
room, they
Because
doing makeup, and I get inspired. I remember walking in on BJ ass. I said, "God damn, bitch, what
honey.
powders that you use?" And like, show me this shit, because they're learning something else. You know what I'm saying? And it's no
Mhm.
shade off my back that the motherfucker can paint his face off. I live, like show what you
Mhm.
just did. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I ain't too proud. Listen, I'm secure in what I've done. I'm secure in what I've proven in this art form. I'm secure. But if you doing some fly shit, show me that.
Yeah.
Show me that.
But Trent, jealousy can make people do some really strange things.
Yes, it can.
It will it you know, you can it will cause you to suppress people, and it will cause you to take behind the scenes, take opportunities from people because you don't want them to outshine you and stuff like that. And I don't want to bring this story up on the on the air, but do you remember that story I told you about what happened with Luscious when she went and showed out, and then other people said don't bring her back no more?
Did she dance?
Baby,
Let me tell you
That
something. Let me
hoe.
tell you something.
Let me
Miss
tell you that
Lucky,
because let me tell give me
hey,
because
Tasha Long, when you coming to
why do
talk
you
to us,
do
Tasha
this to
Long?
me? Why do you do this to me?
Listen,
So so you know where Lulu came from.
no. Hey,
Luscious.
Turlin, where you been? I don't feel like I seen you in our
Hey, I
comments in a
have
while.
not seen Carolyn in a while either.
Gotta talk to her.
Um,
Ooh, go ahead.
well, so it was the year that she was reigning as Miss America. And everywhere I went, Luscious was tearing the stage up to no end.
She's a bad girl.
She is.
A bad girl.
And so I started calling her. I said, "Oh my!" I said, "Lulu, getting it." Just shortening her name. So we get to Miss America during her give up, and I'm just calling her Lulu, and they were like, "Why you keep calling her Lulu? Her name is Luscious." I said, "Every bad bitch need a nickname."
She need a nickname, I'm telling you. That's my
That
first year at Gay America when she won. It was in Memphis.
that lady,
And I think she danced by herself and she tore that fucking stage up.
Luscious, yes.
Listen,
But back to what we were saying that make because she came, yeah, and did something, and the crowd loved her. The people that were set there didn't want her to come back. And so my thing is that, you know, I don't get it.
it's a crab in a barrel type thing because
Yeah.
that's her thing. Luscious gonna dance and tear the show up. I know I can't dance like Luscious, but that don't mean she shouldn't be on the show. It should be a variety of things on the show anyway.
Mhm,
You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
It's some
mhm.
days listen, the show is so fickle, right? You can go out there and tear the show up and make no money. Or the next time you come,
Sure
you go out there and
can.
just throw on something and make all the money in the building, right?
You
So
sure
you
can.
never know when the crowd is feeling what, but you just have to put your best forward. Another girl don't shake me. Another guy don't
Mhm.
shake me. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like, I don't care what you have. I don't care what you do in life. You don't shake me because you have this. You understand?
right.
Listen, we all human. We all have our good days. We
Hey,
all have our
Sean.
bad days. Hey, Sean. We all have our things. You know what I'm saying? We all deal with shit. You know what I'm saying? But you don't shake me. If you're bad, you're just bad. And I gotta give it up to you. I used to watch, like going back to Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was a girl's girl, and every singer she loved the singers. She would go talk to the singers, and at the time she was deemed the best, right? She was outselling everybody. But she would still make time to go speak with everybody. Tony Braxton, Janet Jackson said she would make sure she found her at every award to come talk to her. And see, that's what it's all about, the camaraderie
Mhm.
of it all. Because some people ain't gonna be able to do this forever, but you want it in good hands. And then I just don't feel like the next generation has been ushered in
Hey, Keziah.
in a way, you understand, like
Mhm,
the
mhm.
standouts us like and listen, the vets, good job, vets. The vets have held their shit down for so long. It's so many talented vets and stuff, and but there still need to be a ushering of the
Mhm.
new. But listen, we can talk about we got
Yes, we
Gia
can,
Reed.
'cause yeah, she is way she probably going, "Oh my
And
goodness."
speaking of stepping up from our newcomers that spend that type of money, and I know Trey Songz, you said it's about the experience. Go ahead and step the fuck out there. This guy named Tajoure, uh, never stepped on a newcomer stage. He came straight out doing regular pageants, right? The Mr. Division. And I said, okay, okay. What happens is iron sharpens iron. You know, if I'm gonna
Mhm.
get in the ring and if I'm running against all newcomers, then I'm still act as a newcomer for a minute. Or if I get in that ring with the vets, that means I'm gonna look around and say, God damn, I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
step my shit up in a way
Mhm.
where, you
Mhm.
know, I remember first coming to Atlanta, and I tell the story all the time. It was about 8 of us, 8 of our girls from Memphis and guys came from Memphis to go down to do Black America. This was the year Yasmin gave it up. And all 8 left that building, got right back in that bus and went home. But I was studying, I was looking at that thing and I said, Tanisha, if you want to be a part of this, you gotta do something different.
Mhm.
You got to sharpen your tool in a different type of way because you got to be able to cut through this competition. I said, what we doing down here in Memphis don't quite measure up to what those girls are doing down there.
Hey,
Hey,
Infinity.
Fifth, it don't quite measure up. So me seeing that type of artillery down there made me say, girl, you got to step this shit up,
Yeah.
you know. And speaking of stepping up, we got a MBU
Yes,
prelim
Tasha.
coming up. It's my best friend prelim. It's gonna be Sunday, May 17th, 2026. It's Mr., Miss, and Grand Tri-State MBU. Presentation white, sportswear, talent is 7 minutes. Form aware and question and answer. So govern yourself accordingly. This is a great prelim. It's honoring Portia Paris, Miss Black Universe, Carol Braxton, Mr. Black Universe, and Katrina Davenport Dupree, Miss MBU Grand. It's going to be a great opportunity to get your ticket to Black Universe. Listen, y'all, we got to start supporting our ventures and journeys and stuff so that we can have this stuff around for a very long time. We think it, because what prelims does is it gives the queen an opportunity to work throughout the year. The king and the queen and the plus queen, it gives them an opportunity to work throughout the year and go meet people and talk to people and go in spaces that they probably never would have even went before. It also gives you a great insight of how to prepare for the nationals. So I think we should utilize these more. I would love to see a lot of youth that's scared to step up, just take a chance, go step up. And if you don't succeed, and if you just so happen to not succeed, dust yourself off and try fucking again. But this is a great prelim.
Please.
May 17th, 2026 in Memphis, Tennessee, y'all. Mr. and Miss and Grand, Tri-State MBU. Without further ado, we got an amazing guest coming in, a former Miss Sweetheart International. I remember when she won that. I think Tanisha did her for that. She won a host of newcomer pageants. She's a former Miss Duval. We never had the chance to sit down and talk to Gia. Gia is a boy queen, is a true boy queen, and who still can get up in and look like a girl to me. She's a true boy queen. I always wanted her to be Miss Black University. And when I seen her win Duval, I was so proud of her. And I was thinking to myself, I said, and she reigned like it was a fucking national pageant. I was like, wait, Gia ready to be Miss Black Universe, but it hasn't happened yet. Doesn't mean it can't happen, She got a new shape for us, and you just never know. You just never know. Y'all, without further ado, we're gonna bring in Gia Tajoure.
Tajoure.
It hasn't happened yet, does it?
Hi.
Hey. Can you hear me?
Gia?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Hold on. Let me go out and come back in.
Okay. Trent, you're going to go out? Okay. Hi, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? No?
No, can't hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but you just can't hear me.
I can't
No,
hear.
nothing.
Let's
Okay.
see.
Okay.
Hold on.
Never know. You just never know. I'm gonna bring in.
Can you hear?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Nothing? Okay. Can you hear anything? Nothing? Now I can't hear you at all.
What happened?
Now I can hear. Now can you hear me?
Wait, I cannot hear.
Okay. Because I can hear you.
Let's
Can you
see.
hear
Gia,
me?
Do you want me to come out and come back in?
Yeah, go out and come back in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, let's try that. Let's see if that works.
We have
Yeah, I think it was being on those the earbuds. Probably, yes, they probably got to kick. They probably have to kick in. So we're gonna wait for Gia to come back in. What are you drinking on?
I'm drinking on a Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
I can hear now. Yeah, I can.
Okay,
hear.
Good. Jill, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Where you
Thank
going?
you.
Yeah, there she is.
Oh, you want to be a ghost tonight? Okay.
I know, right? I was listening on my phone, and y'all was having a juicy conversation.
I
Yeah,
know.
And so then when you went to, oh, go ahead.
But because we're about to bring you in on it because you came.
Oh, okay.
And you came from the newcomer world, and then you decided that you were gonna step outside of that box and go into the and what we would call the big leagues. What got you to the point to where you were taking that leap of faith and you said, you know what, it's time for me to move over and graduate high school and go on to college. What was the driving force for you to do that?
So that's such a good question. And I think that, we're definitely oversaturated with newcomer pageants. And when I was a newcomer, it was really just by accident. I decided to do pageants by accident. Tiara Tajoure, who's my sister, she wanted me to be in her talent. And I was a boy. And I was like, I ain't putting on no high heels. And back then, now it's okay, but back then, you if you put on a heel, you wasn't gonna get a date. So
Mhm.
I and so I refused to do it, and she begged and she begged, and she said, "Just please, please." She was doing school days, and she said, "I need another girl, please." I said, "Okay." Do my make, we'll get my makeup done. And if I look okay, then I will do it. Cause I thought I was gonna look like some big old butch man. So we were at the Chaparral, which no longer exists anymore.
I
And
miss the
Q,
chaparral.
I miss it so much.
Yeah.
Listen. But we were at the Chaparral and Q did my makeup and just to be doing my makeup that day. And I remember we were in the bathroom and these two boys were walking out, and one of the boys said, "Ooh, bitch, she beautiful." And I was like, "Ooh, he's talking about me." and so and so I still was not going to do pageants, and but I did the talent show, or not the talent show. I did Tier's talent, and everybody was talking about the little light skinned girl in the talent. Who was that girl in the talent? Because nobody knew who I was,
Yeah.
and I mean, I was like, "Oh, bitch, I have arrived. I have made it. I have made it. This is what I want to do." And
Yeah.
so Ivy White was my mother, and she was like, "Okay, if you want to do a pageant, we're gonna put you in a pageant." So we did a newcomer pageant, but I just did a newcomer pageant because that's okay. Let's do it. Well, while I ended up, I lost my first newcomer pageant, lost I think my second one. I won my third one, and then after that, I won every single pageant in that same year as a newcomer. Well,
Mhm.
during that year, P. Jasmine she owns Black Continental, and she loved Tierra. And Tierra had actually competed. I think Tanisha Castelline won that the year that Tierra competed. But she loved Tierra, and she wanted Tierra to come and do Black Continental. Well, Tierra was kind of fading out of doing pageants, and she's like, I don't want to do pageants anymore. And so she said, "Well, what about Gia doing the pageant?" And I'm like, "Well, I was still reigning. I was Miss Sweetheart newcomer. I had like 4 or 5 newcomer titles at the time, and I was like, no, I don't think so." And this guy, he's no longer with us. His name is Zion. I don't know is Zion from Memphis?
He's
You
from New
remember Zion?
Orleans, but he
New
had
Orleans.
moved to Memphis.
Yes, he moved to me.
Yeah.
So I used to have the biggest crush on Zion, and he knew this, but he loved Gia, and he was like, "I don't want no drag queen," but so he used to always like hang around me when he would come to Atlanta, and so he was like, "Gia, I think you should do Black Continental," and I was like, "Well, that's a big pageant. It's not a newcomer pageant." He's like, "You don't need to worry about it being a newcomer pageant. Just do it. You're good enough to do." And I was so emboldened that I really didn't care about the competition. And Zion paid my entry fee, and he was like, "Just do the pageant. Let's just go have fun." And I did it, and it was like 11 girls, and I
Mm.
and I won the pageant.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Oh
Very
wow.
first, very first pageant that was on the national level.
Yeah.
Very first time, and I had no worries about, well, it's a vet. Stanisha Dupree was my first runner up. And Stanisha was going into the pageant as the favorite. She had did it a couple times, and everybody knew she was going to win the pageant. And I had no idea who none of those girls were. And I just wasn't scared because number one, I didn't know who the girls were. And number two, I was still a newcomer, so I was so naive to the politics of everything.
Mm.
And so it really wasn't like, oh, let me step out and do a big pageant. It was okay. P. Jasmine asked me to do it. Let's do it. But if you recall, like before I even started doing if you look at pageants like Black Universe and Black America back in the day when they had 30 girls,
Yes.
25 of those girls were newcomers.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
now those national pageants, including the pageant that I promote, Sweetheart, we don't promote to newcomers.
Mm.
That's how you get like they've made it to a point where newcomers feel like they're not worthy enough to compete on those stages. Well, that's how the girls who are vets now, their newcomer pageant was Black Universe. And
Wow.
so that's how they were able to hone their craft. Because, like you said, Trent, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
So Sasha was competing against, when she did Universe, she was competing against Sasha Valentino, who
Mhm.
was Sasha Valentino. Well,
Yes.
Sasha couldn't become who Sasha was without competing against Sasha
Hmm.
Valentino
Right.
or Tasha Long.
Because
But
you
that doesn't,
remember too, though, even if you just shook the girl, you ain't have
yeah,
to be her.
you didn't
Even
have
if
to be
you
there.
just shook her, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Then your name was ringed. Oh, but that motherfucking girl didn't play with
Yes,
you.
yes,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
You
So
didn't. You didn't have to. You didn't even have to make top 10
yeah,
back then. It
you
was
could
so
just
many
shake it.
girls. If you shook up preliminary night and everybody knew you, there's like, ooh, her clothes was a fool. So we
Yeah.
know she ain't gonna be in the top 10. But baby, she tore that talent down.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
all you
Yeah,
had to
Maya.
do, and then you had a name for yourself.
Mhm.
But now it's like the everybody feels like what has happened, and I'm saying this with love because most of those formers who are those systems, I am in charge of those girls at Sweetheart. So I love those girls. However, they have made the newcomers feel like, how dare you think that you can do this now? You got to go through the steps to get to where I am. Well, why?
Mm.
Well, why I got to go through all of those steps
Right.
when I have the tools and the resources to do what you did back then?
And
And
should you
so,
and shouldn't you make the road a little more easier for me because you've already been down there
yes,
paving that road? The road don't have to
yes.
be rocky and bumpy for me. It could be paved out by now.
That's what people do not understand is why the vets feel like, well, I had to go through X, Y, Z.
Yeah, but that was them
Well,
time and money.
why I gotta go through that? You opened up the door for me, so I don't gotta go through X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the whole point of a pageant like a Black America or a Black Universe is because it was so bumpy for the Black girls at Continental or USA. So okay, now we made a lane for ourselves. So that it's not so bumpy. That's the same thing with being a newcomer. Okay, the girls, these vets have made this lane. Let's not make it so bumpy for the girls coming behind us. Help them get a dress made. Let them borrow a dress. Let them help
Hmm.
them put them in the right place to get their makeup done. And just because somebody is good in a pageant and and they're competing with you now does not mean that that's your competition. What that means is that's your protege.
So
You
with
should be
no, go ahead, go, Gia.
oh,
Finish what
no,
you're saying.
you should be able to stand next to the person that, and one person who was legendary for doing this was Tanisha Cassadine. Tanisha Cassadine would do you in a pageant and compete with you. She
And
did.
put you in her
She had
clothes.
and let you. That's how you just said that when I won Sweetheart. I won Sweetheart because she got me ready for Sweetheart. I wore her dress for Sweetheart. I wore her presentation,
Presentation.
and she did my makeup and got me ready. And after from then on, we would compete with each other. And I remember. I don't know if you remember this trend at university. Year I didn't make the top 10. You were doing my makeup. She was that's your mother. She's standing right next to you, and she told you, she was like, add a little more eyeshadow to her.
Yeah,
Do a little
Hmm.
such and such. She was
absolutely.
I was her competition. She didn't
Yes.
look at it like that though. She looked at it like that's my protege. That's my little baby. I used to do
Yeah.
her in the pageants.
Yeah.
So that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But
And
we've
I
lost
don't
our
think
way.
vets understand too. Vets don't understand if you do get beat by a girl, because anybody can be beat, right?
Mhm.
It does not take away from your legacy. You're
No.
still a bad bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
These girls have laid foundations that bitches can never break down. You
You
know what I'm
can't
saying?
touch it. You can't touch it.
Because
Hmm.
those girls, let's be honest, those girls back then was competing against 20 and 30 girls. And let me tell
Yes.
you something, most of the bitches they was competing against was good. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
Sickening sponsors and all this stuff. And it was some white girls, some Latino
Hmm.
girls, with everybody, and they still rose to the top. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? I used to watch those girls' journey, like Tasha Long. I watched her journey at Continental all the way to the year she won. I used to have all these VHS tapes and stuff. And those girls had tenacity. You knock them down 9 times, they getting back up.
They get back up.
You got to
Yes. They
show
get back
them it's okay. I'll be back next year. They they,
up.
they, they seek out their prelim and they back. But we could talk about, listen, this can go, yeah. But I
It
want to
go on
get
and
back.
on.
I want to get back to you. I want to know where you're from and how was your upbringing?
Oh, that's a good question. People are going to be I'm gonna be 100% honest and a little vulnerable. And people are gonna be very shocked at where I'm from and my upbringing. And
Okay.
I think part of that is because of the way I carry myself, the way I speak, the way I act sometimes. But I'm from Nebraska. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm actually in Nebraska as we speak.
Okay.
I moved back to Nebraska about 8 months ago. And I was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska is where I'm from. That's where Tierra, who's the founder of the Tajoure, she's from Omaha. Quentin, Tajoure is from. Me and Quentin went to high school together. And
Hmm.
so it's a it's a relatively large city, but it's a small population of Black people, and it's a very segregated city,
Mm,
meaning all the Black people are compounded in one particular area, whether you're rich or poor, you all live in the same area.
okay.
Now, it's not so much that way anymore. The Black people have kind of migrated from North Omaha because it had got really dangerous. And so people that could afford to leave North Omaha left North Omaha and moved further out west where it's more white people. But I grew up I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. So I grew up in the Midwest, so I have a very, neutral accent. And I went to a private school. When I first started, I went to all boys private school.
Mm,
However, my mom was 16 when she got pregnant with me. My dad was like 23 years old. So right now that would be illegal.
Lord, he was tearing
uh,
you up.
yes. And they knew each other from the time she was like 13. And so my dad's side of the family basically helped raise my mom. But my mom's side of the family is, they're not well off. That's the poor side of my family. My dad's side of the family, they were my grandmother, got it out the mud. She had 8 children. She lived in the projects, but she knew she wanted something different for her life. She started her own business. By the time she retired, she was a multimillionaire.
Work.
A self-made multimillionaire. She was on the
Yes.
news. She was on the news, and she started this family business that she has now. My whole side of my father's family it's a daycare business, and so
Okay.
they all have daycares. However, my dad, he's the son of a preacher, and his mother, who did not finish. I think she made it to maybe the 6th grade. My grandmother did, and she had a bunch of kids, and she just was a hard worker. But so my dad ended up, getting into the streets, and he became a pimp. So I am the son of a pimp. He was, I mean, when I say a bona fide pimp, he was a cane wearing, fur coat. I mean,
Yes.
they
Big
his,
block
his
Gator.
yes, yeah, they used to call him Silky. He hates that name now, but he
Yeah.
was known as Silky. Me and my dad have the same name, and he has a king mentality. So much so that he named his daughter Princess, because he named her Princess because he felt like he was the king. And so my mother, who he was married to, and I don't know if people know about how, pimps work, but they don't bring the women that they're pimping out. That's separate from their wife. And so
Right.
my mom was like the madam. She was in charge of the girls, so to speak. But she was a
Oh,
young girl. She was a young girl, 16. She ended up having 2 kids. And she, got addicted to drugs. She became a heroin addict. And so I'm the product of a pimp and a heroin addict. And if you've ever seen the movie Moonlight, it's my favorite movie. There's a scene in Moonlight, of the mother and her son came to see her while she was in a rehab facility, and that exact conversation that he has with her is the
mhm.
same conversation that I had with my mother.
Which is what?
And so basically, he didn't understand, the problem that she had was a disease,
Right.
and he was very quiet. He wouldn't, and she said, I know you don't love me anymore, but I love you. I love us both. I love you enough for the both of us.
Mm,
And that my mom, I remember going. I was in my early 20s before I moved to Atlanta, and I remember going to see her. She was in a rehab center, and she said to me, I was just sitting there looking at her, and I was just exhausted because she had the things that I have seen as a kid,
Mm.
it was just exhausting for me. And I just didn't have anything else to say to her. And she said to me, she was like, I know you don't love me anymore, but I love you enough for both of us. And I couldn't believe that very exact words
It was
were in
like
that
it was ripped right
movie.
out of your life.
Ripped right out. And the reason why is because that movie is based off of a true story. And so what
Yes.
that tells you is that drug addiction in the Black community is the same from household to household. My,
Mhm.
my mom was in and out of prison. I actually, when they had this program when I was a kid, that if you had children, the kids were able to spend the night in the prison with you,
Oh,
and
wow.
which is the worst program you could ever have. Now that I'm older, I would
Yeah.
never allow my child to do that. But so there, up until I was 11 years old, we would go to the prison and spend up to 2 weeks with my mom in the prison. So then I moved my brother. I had a brother. Me and my brother are four
So let
years
me ask
apart.
you, not to stop cut you
Oh
off,
no,
but
you're good. Mhm.
who was raising you while your mom was going through this?
So that's a good question. So I was raised really by my family. At some points it was by my grandmother.
Okay.
When I was first born, my mom was so young. My mom's mother was raising me and my brother, and she ended up passing away when I was in the third grade from breast cancer. Most traumatic thing to
Mm.
ever happen to me. But at that time, I thought that was who my mother was,
Mhm.
because my mom was in prison at the time,
Okay.
and I knew, my mom's name was Vivian. I don't know what I thought, to be honest with you. I was so young, but I knew I called my grandmother mom. And so she passed away, and my mom was in prison at the time. And back then, they would if you had somebody that close to you pass away, they would let the person come to the funeral. So
Right.
my mom came to the funeral in handcuffs, and it was a whole big scene. I'd never forget it. I was in the third grade, and then she got out. That's like shortly after my grandmother passed away. And me and my brother bounced around from my grandmother on my dad's side. Then my dad kind of got custody of us, and then I went with some aunts. And at one point, my mom, she was really fighting to hold on to her kids. And what she needed to do was she needed to, show that she can have secure home for her children. And I was at that point, I had now been raised by my dad's side of the family, and they're very well off people. I didn't know that I was poor. I thought that, I was well off because my daddy drove a Mercedes. He actually had a Bentley.
My
I had
God.
every name brand clothing you can think of, I own. But keep in mind, he was a pimp. So, that's how he got. But I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know how he got his money. I thought we were rich.
And baby,
And
he probably knew boosters and everything.
he had boosters,
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
so,
I remember that
my
life.
yeah. So my mom, at one point when I was in middle school, she secured her housing, and she was going to get custody of us. And the housing she secured was in the projects.
Mm.
I had never lived in the projects. I lived with my grandmother, who has this. She's no longer with us, but the house is still within our family. She had
Okay.
this big, huge house that I lived in, and I refused to go. And I was like,
Mm.
"Mom, I'm not going to the projects. I just refuse." And it created a rift between me and my mom, because
Mhm.
my brother was I would basically raised my brother. He wanted to be with me, and he also wanted to be with his mama. And so
Gotcha.
he ended up going with my mom, and it created a huge rift between me and my mom for years.
Mm.
And it wasn't until years later, my brother passed away when he was 17 years old.
Wow.
And when he passed away, me and my mom got close because I was her only. My dad had other children, but my mom, she only had two kids.
True.
And so I was her only child at that point. And she then began to spend her life trying to make up for the things that she had did to me when I was a kid. But at that point, when my brother passed away, I was so devastated and lost, and I just that that was the hardest thing I'd ever been through in my entire life, because I raised him. We were best friends. We were 4 years apart, and he was like my child. And so that's when I decided to move to Atlanta. So Ray Quentin was living here first, and so
Mhm.
I was like 22, maybe 20, 23, and
So
I
you and
moved
Quinn knew
here.
each other before you came to
Yeah,
Atlanta.
so we went to high school together. So I've known Quentin since he was So all the stuff I'm telling you, he knows all. He always referred my mom before she passed away. She knew Ray Quentin. I call him Ray Dale. That's his real name. But he always refers to. He thinks my mom is just like Cookie from Empire, and and she literally is like she was Cookie, and I learned it's very important. I think, and the reason why I'm sharing this story is because what I realized now, I didn't know
Mhm.
then, was that my mom had a sickness. I always felt that she chose drugs over me.
Yeah.
And that's not what
Mm.
she
So
was
did you
addicted to.
resent her for that?
I hated her for it.
Really?
I hated my mother for I grew up thinking I thought that I hated my mom.
You're
And
right,
then
right.
and then as I got older and I realized that she had an illness and that she didn't. I mean, there were times where I watched my mom shoot up heroin. I've seen her shoot.
Mm.
I mean, I held needles in my hand and went to her and said, "What is this?" As a 10-year-old kid, Mom, what are you doing?
Right.
And so the things that I saw and the things that I experienced, I hated her for it. I hated
Mhm.
her more so than I hated my dad because my dad was the kind of man that he never wanted his children to know what he was doing. So I never knew that he was a pimp until I got in my 20s and one of his girlfriends told me
Mhm.
what he was doing.
So he
She was
kept
just
y'all
trying to
shielded. He kept y'all
he
shielded from that
kept us
Yeah.
time.
very shielded, and he kept very, and even to this day, he's very protective. Everybody thinks I'm like his princess. That literally, I'm like his little girl, and so and they wonder why my whole family is like because he had a
What's
hard
up,
time with me
cuz? What's up,
being
David?
gay.
That is
Um,
fun.
and, but yeah, so my mom, I hated her for it, and then I realized as I got older, she
And
had an
what age
illness.
was this that you realized that it was a sickness?
So probably in my she died when I was 35. I didn't really understand that it was a sickness until I was probably 30,
Okay.
30 or 30. So like maybe 5 years before she passed
And
away.
what was that moment that made you realize it?
So I had moved back to Nebraska for about 8 months, and my mom was doing very well for herself. She had got a job, and she was just doing very well. I was still, because of the things that I had been through, I was so leery about, you know, I always walking on eggshells with my mom.
Mhm.
And I remember one time she had asked to use my car. And I had just got this, it was a Chrysler Sebring, and it was 4th of July. And
Was
I
it the
had
drop
told
top?
no, I didn't get approved for the drop top. It was,
Okay.
but it
I
was
used to
nice.
want one of those.
It had all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And my mom wanted to use my car. And it was 4th of July weekend. And everybody was saying, let your mom use the car. She's been doing so good. Let her use it. And I said, no. I was like, no, mama, you're not using my car. I just didn't trust it.
Yeah.
Something in my gut told me not to trust it. Well, finally, that she begged enough. Everybody talked. My whole family talked me into letting her do it. And so I let her take my car. And I didn't see her for 4 days. Well, she has a half brother who actually has the same name as me also. And I had been looking all over for my mom, and I couldn't find her. So her half brother ran into me and said, "Listen, I seen your mom, and she's not good. You need to go get her." And he told me the house that she was, and I literally went into a crack house to go get my mama. And
You wasn't
when I
scared?
not one bit. Not one. I was not scared. Not one. I was with my cousin, and I never have been. I've just grown because I grew up around it. That's just not something that scared me.
Mhm.
But I went in that crack house. I pulled her out, and but seeing her, she was so far gone,
Yeah.
and I didn't even recognize her. So I took her. I drove her. I barely made it because I'm crying, just trying to drive her to the.
Hey,
And I
Katrina.
drove.
Pay $5.
Hey, Katrina. I drove her to the hospital, took her to the
Mhm.
hospital, and the doctor in the hospital is the one who sat me down and was like, your mother has a disease. And
Yeah,
that was when I was 30 years old. And I was like, and looking, I didn't even recognize her. And I was like, okay, I get it
you get
now.
it.
Yeah, I get it now.
I want to ask you a quick question though, to go back to when you said your mom got out, she was wanting her kids, and not necessarily about your situation per se, but I know I've had these feelings because my mom was in prison for a long time.
Hmm.
And so, and she came back when she got out, she wanted all of us. And
Hmm.
so Do you sometimes feel that when these types of situations happen, do you think that sometimes parents don't really be thinking about what's in the best interest of the child?
There,
Even though they may want what they want. And and I love my mom to death, but I feel like it was a mistake for my
mm-hmm,
mom to take us from the stable home we were in. We were being raised by her aunts and uncles.
mm-hmm.
And our life was it was stable. We were getting great education. We had people who cared about us getting an education, had us involved in church and athletics and all this stuff. And then we get with her, none of that stuff is taking place. So do you feel that sometimes mothers and fathers or whatever, they don't really think, even though I know that they love their children, but do you think that sometimes they make decisions that are not in the best interest of the
Yeah,
child?
I completely agree with that, and I hate to say this, I think it's more so mothers than it is fathers, and the
Hmm.
reason why I say that is because mothers, they feel like you came out of them, so you
Hmm.
belong. So my mom used to tell my grandmother all the time, "That's my child. That's my child," and my grandmother used to say, "Well, act like it then." And so
Hmm.
they would go back and forth, and my mom had a hard time just letting she just felt like they need to be with me because I birthed them. When her environment, the environment that we were in, it just was not a healthy environment. We were in when we were with my grandmother. It was a loving, caring environment, and we had stability. And we were fed every day. We didn't have to worry about. It was just things we didn't have to worry
Hmm.
about.
Didn't have to worry.
And yes, and parents sometimes. My father didn't struggle as much with that. He's the one that because when my mom went to prison, I could have been with my father. But my father said he knew that his lifestyle was not conducive for children.
Right. You
So
probably would have
he
seen
was
some stuff you never wanted to see.
never wanted to see. And so he said he had his mother take us in, but he made sure we were taken care of. When I tell you he made sure, because my grandmother also took care. I was raised with some cousins because my grandmother had other kids that she was
Yeah, yeah,
taking care of
yeah.
too. We had me and my brother had the big color TV in our room. We had the fancy new bedrooms. I mean, we had everything you can imagine because
Hmm.
he was trying to make up for not being there.
Right.
But my
Overcompensate.
mother, my mother didn't care about none of that. She was like, I want my kids. And that's why
Yeah.
I say the program of us going to visit in prison, it was just such a horrible program. Their mind was in the right place, their thought process was in the right place, but I always had this fear, and I still have this fear that one day I'm going to end up in prison. And even though I don't do anything to put myself in prison,
Right, right.
but I have this reoccurring
But
fear
that's
because
that
yeah,
traumatizing.
I
Yeah.
can still hear the bars because
So you
it was like they were like dorm rooms, but
okay.
the doors would at a certain time they would lock, clink clink, and you could just hear it lock, and we couldn't leave out of that door. We had a certain time of the day they had a line, even with your kids, you had to line up, and the guard would come down. It just was not
Oh,
a
It was just
wow.
yeah
it's not good, and,
no
Gia, I would have never known this till we had this conversation.
no
You
no
carry
nobody
yourself in
does.
you carry yourself in such a great way, which you wouldn't even think this, but I relate so hard to you on, like, forgiving your mom and stuff, and
Hmm.
because for years, I couldn't understand why, like, I even sold drugs and stuff too, my mom
Hmm.
would steal from me, my mama would wanna fight
Yeah.
me, mama
Hmm.
I could take my mama in, get her healthy, get her back to where she should be, and,
Yep.
one time I helped her buy a car, she pulled off and went and got on drugs again and stuff. It was like nothing you can do
Yeah.
can make them be what you wanted them to be,
Mm.
and it was so disheartening so many times, and like you, I had to realize, why would somebody want to spend I remember listen, when I bought my house, I went and got my mom, right? I said, "Okay, I got a house." You think, "Okay, you see your son doing good, come on."
Mhm.
She came down here and she got off for a minute and stuff, and I remember her disappearing when I helped her buy a car, and at the time, I was dating Akache, and Kashe was in love with her, right? And, she loved him too, right? And he said, "I gotta go look for mom." He'd never seen my mom in that state. And when he saw my mom, it broke his heart, right?
Mhm.
He says he'd never seen that. And I remember him finding her. When we pulled up on my mom, she was in these hotels off of Fulton Industrial deep down, right? And
Mhm.
it was just so many junkies walking around. It was so many boys that selling dope. And I told my mom, I remember telling her, and this is what helped me make peace with it. She said, I said, girl, I was so scared for you out there because she was just sitting in her car because her tire was on flat and stuff. She was just in the
Mm,
car. It looked like New Jack City out there, right?
yeah. Hmm.
And I said, girl, I was so scared for you. She said, I wasn't scared. She said, it's nothing to me. And I remember saying, this is this is where she likes to be.
Hmm.
This is her life. And for whatever reason, this is what she want to do. So it was that
Mhm.
moment that I surrendered. And that was in my 40s. I
Yeah.
finally surrendered. And I was just like, you know what? You don't ever have to get off drugs for me. This is your life. You get to do it how
You
you
gotta
want
do it
to.
for yourself. Yeah.
I understand that this is a sickness, and if they could be better, they would be better. Because
Yep.
Yeah.
who wants to sleep
Who wants
outdoors?
to?
Who
Yeah.
wants to
Mhm.
be in crack houses? Who wants to be doing any and everything to
It
support
is
a
a
habit?
sickness.
It's
Yes,
a
it is a
sickness,
sickness. Yeah.
and people
Hmm.
don't realize that. So I stopped anything I felt against my mom. I was like, you know what, girl, just do you. And I love to hear from my mom. I hear from her every so often. She'll get a phone, something happened to her, but I enjoy talking to her because she's so funny. You think I crack joke? My mom will crack joke after joke, right? She's so fucking funny, and I just learned to just understand that this is her life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she has to do it the way
and
she
she
wants
and
to
she's
do
not
it.
and she's not choosing the drugs over you. That's
Right,
not what
Yeah.
she's doing.
right.
What she has, she can't. That's just like somebody having cancer, and if they have cancer, they cannot help the pain that they're in.
That cannot
You know,
help.
Mhm.
they can't help it. And you try, especially like the people that are of older age and they're from the 70s. Crack is one thing, but heroin,
Ooh,
will take a grip on you and it will never let go. That's why people who are on heroin, to get off of, they got to be on methadone, because you just can't get off of that drug. That drug,
wow.
it holds on to you for your entire life.
So, Jill,
I
did your
don't.
mama beat that? Did she beat it?
So she did for a while, but when she passed away, so what happened? Heroin. If you're not on heroin, a gateway is pills, and
Okay.
so she got on so many pills. Even though she wasn't on the heroin no more, she was on so many
So many
pills
pills.
that she ended up overdosing on
Wow.
pills. That's how she ended up
That's
passing away. So she passed away. Actually, the year she passed away. So I don't know if you remember, Trent, but my when you did my makeup at Universe that year that I didn't make the top 10.
Mhm.
That same weekend, my stepmother passed away. So
mm.
my stepmom had breast cancer. So she passed away
Okay.
from breast cancer. Well, that was in October. Then my mother ended up passing away in April, that following April. So just, a few months later. And the funny thing about, everybody loved my mother.
Mhm.
If
Same.
you knew her, you loved her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People in Atlanta, like Neil met my mom before. He adored my mom.
Mhm.
Couldn't say enough about Neil. She's like, why you ain't married to Neil? And I was like, that's my good girlfriend. No, that's
Okay.
my good girlfriend. And so, but everybody loved her. But she was hilarious. My mom was hilarious, and so
Mhm.
that same year, I lost my stepmom and my mother, and I just came to peace with the fact that she had a sickness, and it was nothing that she could do, aside from she did what she thought she could do to
Yeah.
get better,
Mhm.
and talking about this lets you know, like, the three of us sitting here, who would see how common
Yes.
all three
Yes.
of us
Yes.
are, and nobody really. So there's so many of us in our community, in the Black community, that come from this background, and people just don't know it. And I don't talk about it because, number one, it ain't nobody business,
Yeah.
Right.
except for the people that are close to me.
Mhm.
But also, I don't talk about it because sometimes it's too painful.
Yeah. Oh my
Some
God.
yeah. So sometimes sometimes I will sit and I have to pull myself out of it, because I get so hurt by the past. And one of the things that I
Mhm.
really, really regret, um, is I did not live my true authentic self in front of my mother. And what I mean by that is, my mom came to me. She told my when it came out that I was gay, my dad had a hard time with it. And my mom told my dad, how dare we judge him and the stuff we done did? How dare,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so somebody had came to my mom and told my mom about Gia. And my mom came to visit me, and she came in my room one day and she said, so tell me about Gia. I want to know about Gia. And I locked up, and I tensed up, and I got so scared. And because nobody in my family in Nebraska knows, except for maybe two people.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that I do drag. And so I tensed up and I didn't know what to say and so I just changed the subject. And she said, "Come on, you can tell me." And I was like, "Mom, I don't want to talk about it." And so, I changed the subject. We never talked about it. And I see people that do pageants and their parents come and see
Mhm.
them. Like I look at she's a former sweetheart newcomer.
Amaya,
No, Zamaria.
Zamari.
Um, her parents, her mom and her dad come to just about every pageant she does. And
Wow.
they root her on and I think to myself, if I would have opened up to my mom would have been in the
That would have
audience.
been her.
Did
She
Yeah.
you
would have
not
been
feel
in,
worthy of the support?
so my biggest thing about people knowing that I do drag is when I moved to Atlanta, the first thing that everyone said was, "Oh, he about to go down there to be a girl."
Mm.
And I have no desire. I am not a trans woman. And I love my trans women. I love my trans sisters. I think y'all beautiful
Yeah.
and I love the whole experience and I'm a true ally. I'm a boy that puts on wigs. That is who I
Mhm.
am. And I have no desire. I have never had a desire to be. I love being a black person. I love being a gay black person. Like white people think like we don't like being black. No,
Oh, I love it.
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
I
I
love my
love
blackness.
it.
Yes,
I love it.
and I also love being a gay man. I don't want to. I
Also,
would.
Gia, I love the experience that I've been through in life. I wouldn't trade it for
Yeah,
nothing.
wouldn't trade it for me neither. I mean that is who made me who I am, and so I love that. And so when my family was saying, "Oh, he's going to go down there to become a girl," I saw where they were going, and that was not my intentions.
Right.
And doing drag does not mean that you want to be a girl, but they are so close. They're from Nebraska. They're so close minded that they don't understand that just because I do drag and I'm an entertainer, that they think I'm walking around here all day. And even if I was walking around here all day in a dress, and that's my prerogative. I pay my
Right.
bills, and
Mhm.
so I struggled with telling them because I didn't want to be judged by them.
Mhm.
I didn't, and not necessarily my family. It was more so my mom and my dad, and especially my dad. My dad is so macho. He's so, but also my dad had 8 kids, 4 girls and 4 boys. I'm the only boy that's left, and I was his oldest boy. All the rest of his sons have died, and so now he treats me like a precious jewel. Like, I mean, he hates for me to leave his sight because he's so scared of losing me because of the way he's lost his other sons.
Yeah.
So I think now if I were to tell him, he would be okay with it. But
Mhm.
but 10 years ago, oh no, no,
Maybe
no. My
you
dad,
don't even think about it.
my dad was a pimp. So yeah, and I'm my dad's namesake. I look exactly like my dad.
Okay.
When I come to Nebraska, like if I go out, and it's not a lot of places that to go out to in Nebraska. They have a place called the Elks. And if you ever been to Duval, you know where Duval is held. It's just like the place like where Duval is held.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
local lodge, but
Okay.
they have clubs. They have a club night. When I go there, I don't have to buy a drink. They be like, "Oh, that's Silky's son."
Oh,
I don't have to, I don't have
come
to
on,
stand in the
royalty.
yeah, I don't have to stand in the I don't gotta stand in a line. I don't have to. I mean, they know I am Gary's son when I come in town. And my dad, and plus he's owned restaurants and all kind of stuff. So people just know him. And so if I were to tell, I remember when I told him, when he found out that I was gay, he said to me, um, what am I friends gonna say? What they gonna say? And so all he could think about it was himself. And so
Mhm.
his mentality is not there anymore.
Mhm.
But I just don't want to put that on him. He's 72 years old. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, 72. God damn,
I don't
Gia,
want to
how
do
old are you?
it. So I love saying how old I am. I'm not ashamed of it whatsoever. I am 49 years old. I will be
Are
50.
you?
I am 49. I will be 50 in
You look
November.
good. You
You
look
Thank
look
you
good.
so much. I
amazing.
You look
thank you. So
good.
I started out in pageants I started out at basically 30 when I was doing newcomer pageants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I won Sweetheart, Aja was the big queen. I was older than Aja. So I was the newcomer
What?
queen. And so me and Simba were the same age. Aja is younger than me by a year. Yes.
Wow.
That is
So
so awesome. But you had mentioned earlier about the gay men not wanting to date drag queens.
Oh yes.
That was big back in the early
It was
2000s, though.
yes. If you
99,
could,
early 2000, that was
So,
huge.
so, so let's talk about that.
yeah,
And let's really let's break
yeah.
that
Let's
down
dive
and
into it.
let's pull the layers back about that. And what do you think is the hangup? What do you think is the issue that they cannot separate the person from the art? Why
Yes.
do you think that is? Because it's so interesting that the person that does drag can be one of the most talented, educated, most successful person in the world, but they'll pick some bum that don't
Yep.
have a damn
Don't
thing
have a
going for
dime.
them,
Yes.
but done screwed half the community that they have been
Ooh.
passed
Oh,
around.
you've been waiting to say this. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
She right.
well,
She right. She
but
right.
the reason it being because before the pre-transition, I experienced
Yeah.
the exact same thing, and people would not give you the time of day. They
Yeah.
treated you as if you had some incurable disease
Yeah.
that they could catch.
Yeah.
So now you go.
So 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 it's multifaceted. I think it depends on what your age group is. I
Mhm.
mean I don't know how old you
Hi,
guys are,
Kim Moore.
but my age group, we grew up in a time where you had to be secretive about your relationship, right? So if
Mhm.
you couldn't dare hold hands with a boy at school, or you couldn't dare they couldn't dare find out that you were dating a boy. So so what that made you attracted to was men were boys, right? And
Mhm.
the girl thing was you didn't want a girl. You didn't want somebody that acted like a girl or was like the feminine thing. You didn't want that. I
Mhm.
don't know what just happened. Hold on. But so anyway, but if you notice the younger generation who now they have boyfriends in high school, they go to prom with their boyfriends.
Yes.
Um,
Unheard
that's
of back then.
unheard of, and those are the men who are attracted to me. They know that I don't have to hide the fact that I do drag. They they're the younger boys are okay with it. It's the older generation. They learn from they didn't have the only thing they had to learn from was what they saw on TV or their parents, and they learned what they learned in church. And what they learned in church was like being gay was a sin, and
Mhm.
and being a girl was even doubly a sin. And so I think that is what because the minute I'm telling you, the minute I put on a heel, my dating life went from here to here,
To hear,
like
yeah.
instant, like overnight. And the boys just were not attracted to me anymore because all they can see was, even when I was full beard and mustache, all they can see
Mhm.
was a little drag queen.
Person. Mhm.
And I relate to it because I at one point was like that. I used to
Mhm.
Mm.
before I started being a drag queen, I was not attracted to them at all.
Mhm.
Now that I've evolved, I mean, there's a whole bunch of the girls that I'll be like, ooh, I would tear them up.
Oh my
but,
goodness. Oh my goodness.
but
Yes.
so I would actually date someone now but because of where I came from and what I learned
Mhm.
and what was around me, I just didn't know anything different. And so the older generation just has they have hangups with it so bad.
But do you also think though within that same umbrella that there's a sense of embarrassment and shame? And do you think that it's also a reflection of the misogyny that still exists within the gay community itself? Because we
Oh,
can talk about
100%.
misogyny as it relates to straight men, but I do believe that misogyny is a really horrible thing also within the gay community. And I think that that's why, in my opinion, and nobody has to agree, that a lot of gay men treat lesbians a certain way, and that's
Hmm.
why they treat trans women a certain way because of
Hmm.
misogynistic behavior.
Yeah.
What are your
Even
thoughts on that?
even how they treat a bottom.
Hmm.
Just because someone is a bottom, it's automatically stigmatized that bottom there's some they're feminine or there's some negative connotation. Well, I mean, we're gay. Somebody got to be the bottom. What's wrong with
Hmm.
that? There should be there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Somebody
I
got
don't
to
get
catch the nut.
somebody got to catch it, and I don't understand it. And I think it is like you said, there's a sense of embarrassment, even for like, so even for the drag queen. So like for myself, I felt like I was dating somebody who was okay with it, and he would come see me in the show. When he came see me in the show, I did not want him to see me in drag. I did not want to stand next to him. I felt awkward. I was like, because I didn't know, am I? Because when I'm Gia, I'm a woman. You can't tell me I'm not a woman.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so, but when I'm Gary, I'm just a gay boy. And so I didn't know standing next to him. Okay, do I act like a gay boy or do I act like a woman? What? And he was like, "What you freaking out for? Just chill out." But I had a sense of embarrassment, and so I had to overcome that and be okay with, okay, this is who I am.
Hmm.
But it's hard, and but I think that, especially like with trans women, I think there's such a stigma that the society puts on men to be so macho, and that they can't be attracted to anything other than a cisgender woman. But if they just let down their guard and not care about what other people think about them, there's so many
Hmm.
men out there that are missing out on who their real soulmate is, because their real soulmate may be a transgender woman.
It may be.
Right.
Right.
But
It
Just
may
might
I,
be.
be.
but I also think, and I've had strong views about this. A couple years ago, there's a lot of conversation about why with trans women does it always have to come down to what's between their legs.
Hmm.
And the reason why I think that is a very important thing of what's between a transgender a
Definitely.
woman, what's between their leg, is because if I'm a man and I'm attracted to you, I may not be, and let's say you're post-op, so you still have your old tools down there, and
Hmm.
but you're a trans woman, you're presenting as a woman. I may be attracted to you, but I'm not attracted to a penis, and so
Hmm.
that is important if we're going to have a sexual relationship.
Hmm.
So it is. So we do have to have that conversation. Okay, what you got between your legs? Because I'm not. I'm okay with you being a trans woman, but if you still got your man part, I'm not attracted to that.
Hmm.
And there's a stigma with men being able to even just have those kind of conversations just in general.
Okay. So from your childhood now, and you're now moving into adulthood, all of the things that you had to endure, and all of that. What helped you continue to persevere? What kept you resilient that you still turned out to be a great adult? What because sometimes when you've been so traumatized
Hmm.
as a young person, you're so damaged moving into adulthood that then you're still damaged, but then you're damaging all of the people that are around you. Because I found myself to be very because of my background, I didn't feel like I was deserving of a lot. So anytime I come into a situation to where it was good, I would subconsciously self-sabotage the
Yeah.
situation
Yeah.
because I
Mm.
didn't feel like I deserved anything better
Oh
than
my
what
God,
I had
we just
experienced.
alike. Yeah.
So talk to me about, did you have that type of phase, and then how did you get past it?
So, um, I did do a lot of self-sabotaging
Mhm.
because, and I had to go to therapy and things like that. But one of the things that got me through, just in so my a couple years ago, I made a post. I was Duval actually, and I had made a post one day, and I was like, I'm not okay.
Mhm.
And I when I made that post, I literally was not okay. Was ready to take myself out. And I
Mhm.
had and out of all the things I had been through in life, I had never felt that way before. And I was like, why am I feeling this way? So I went and saw a therapist. And my therapist told me that, she was like, after I told her all the stuff that I had been through, she was like, you do realize you're a survivor. And I never looked at myself. I never gave myself that term. I never said, okay, I just was going through life trying to get through to the next day. I've
Mhm.
always, and that's how I live my life now. I always have a plan A, plan B, plan C. So if something doesn't work out, but I've always had that because of how I grew up, I've always had to have that. But the way I got through all of that and became who I am is simply because of the friends that I have and the family that I have. The friends and family, the friends that I have are friends that all of my friends I've been friends with for over 20 years. Most of them,
Mhm.
like me and Quentin have known each other since he was in the 10th grade. I was in the
Shout
11th
out to the
grade.
king of bling.
Yes, we love him to death. He
Bling
knows
bling.
he knows every single thing. Matter of fact, when I made that post when I was Duval and I said I wasn't okay, he called me and was like, "Take that down. What made you? Why you just didn't call me?" And I was like, "Well, I felt like I needed to share with everybody else." And so, but
Mhm.
he knows more about me than probably anybody in that knows me, definitely in the pageant world. But I have some of the people that care about me so hard and so deeply that I didn't have a choice but to be okay. You
Mm.
know, I have one of my best friends. She's we went to high school together. We went to college together. She used to come pick me up when my mom was strung out, and I was at the house, and I was like, I need to get out of this house. And she had a car, and she wasn't nothing but 16 years old. She would come pick me up. But at the time, I used to date girls. I had a girlfriend in high school, and we're still friends to this day. She used to make sure I had a haircut and took me to go and make sure I had what I needed to go to school. All of those people are still in my life, and
Mhm.
they go so hard. When I last week I had the flu, and my best cousin, we even though we say it's my whole family says it's childish that we call each other best cousins because we both 50, but we are best cousins. So I live in Lincoln. My family lives in Omaha. I called her and I told her I was feeling really sick. I need to go to the hospital. She's like, I'm on my way. So she's driving, and I'm like, girl, you do not need to come. She's like, nope, nope, I'm coming. I don't care. I'll be there. The people go so hard for me that
Mhm.
it just makes it that support system is what has got me through all of this stuff that I've been through in my life. If I didn't have the support system that I have,
Mhm.
I definitely would not have made it because there's been so many times that I've been in situations where I probably should not have made it. But
Yeah.
because of the support system, I'm able to.
I
There's never a
appreciate
time. There's never a time where I feel like I don't have something. Like if I've never felt like I was never going to have somewhere to lay my head.
Yeah.
I never felt like there's ever going to be a time where I didn't wasn't going to be able to put food in my mouth. And so those types of things, when those burdens are taken off of you, you can focus on the inner you,
Mhm.
and not so much have it. Even now, when I moved here, I live in an apartment because I got a free apartment for my job. But my dad was like, "Why you got to live here? You can live here for free." My dad wants me to be at home with him so that I can focus on me and put my life together. You know what I mean?
And let me
So
ask you, Jill, and it's so funny you talk about having such a great support system and people that show up for you and look out for you. So, what was that moment that got so dark for you, even knowing that you had all of this support? What was that moment that got so dark for you that made you just feel like, listen, I'm tired of Earth. I'll be better off somewhere else. Like, what does that feel like, and what was that?
so I had done Duval. That was my fourth time.
Okay.
And, everybody knows I've done Universe, I think 8, 9 times. I don't, so I'm notorious for losing a pageant.
Shut your
and
mouth.
so, and so I did not realize that I was depressed, right? So a lot of people are depressed and they don't know it. And I was one of those people. I didn't realize that I was depressed. When I realized it was after I won Duval, I thought that winning Duval is one of my dreams, like Universe is one of my dreams. Like
Mhm.
Duval, I always used to say, I never forget when Sasha Valentino won Duval. She was like, I'm one of the girls.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm one of the girls. Like you see that lineup of them girls that I'm one of
Your
them
name on
now.
a banner now.
My name is on that banner. And so I thought when I won, I was gonna feel different. I don't know what I was gonna feel like. But after I won, yes, we celebrated, we partied. But the next day I got on the road in my car, drove back to Atlanta, went back to work, and it was just like as if I had like the previous years when I lost. It was no different feeling. So
Mm.
I thought Duval was gonna fulfill something, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, well, so then I would go to my bookings and I would have a good time, but I would leave the Duval booking still feeling empty, right? And one day, I lived and when I was in Atlanta, I had a house, I had a 3-bedroom house. I lived there by myself. And one day I was in my house.
You were buying your house, wasn't
Yes.
okay.
And I was in my house and it was just me, nobody else. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I just was not happy. And I realized I was like, I was lonely because I was by myself.
Mhm.
And the pageants was not fulfilling me, which is what I thought it was supposed to do.
Right, right,
And
right.
I didn't have anybody that I could really talk to say really what was going on inside. I just didn't know how to even articulate it. And loneliness is a big thing. That
Mm.
is loneliness when you feel like, I mean, you could have hundreds of people around you.
Yes.
I have been at Duval at a booking, and people were lining up tipping me and telling me how beautiful I am. And I felt so lonely. And I was
Mhm.
like, why do I feel that way? And finally, one night, I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be lonely anymore. And that's it. I'm done. And I made it through the night because I
Mhm.
almost didn't make it through the night. And then I made that post. And when I made that post, the first person to inbox me, actually, the person I ended up crowning at Duval was Kamaya. And she inboxed me and she was like, I know we don't know each other well. She was like, I saw your post. And she's like, I want you to know you are not alone. And I just got a flood of messages in my inbox of people who said they felt the same way, or
Mm.
or I'm here for you, or whatever the case may be. I just got
Mhm.
all, and so then I was like,
So in that
okay,
moment, you didn't feel lonely anymore because there was other
no.
people who felt just like you.
Yes, when
Wow.
Kamaya messaged me, specifically when Kamaya messaged me, I was like, this is somebody who don't even really know me.
Right, right.
And she's saying you are not alone. And so what I did, it didn't cure me at that moment,
Right, right, right.
but what it made me do was say, okay, I got to go do the work to see what's wrong with me.
Say
So
that
Yeah.
I
again.
mean,
I
yes,
got to go
you got to
do
go do the work. You
the
got
Mhm.
to.
You
work.
have
Yes, you
to.
could, because you can
Wow.
sit, they say like faith without works is dead.
It's
So you
dead.
Mhm.
can you can pray all day long, but when
Like a car with
if
no motor.
God, yes, God gives you tools to repair your engine. So you got to go
Yeah.
out and take those tools and repair. So I immediately picked up the phone, called a doctor, and said, I need to make an appointment.
Yeah.
And I came in and I started, having conversations. And that's when I found out that, I was a survivor. And I realized there was so much more to my loneliness. It wasn't just about me not having a man.
Right.
That
Mhm.
had not, and because the thing was, and that was the other thing is because I was lonely, my front door was a revolving door of people that I wasn't even like getting gratification out of it,
Right.
but they were coming in and I was letting them do their thing, and I
Wow.
was like, this ain't me. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And it was just because I was
You were
trying to
searching.
fulfill, I was searching.
Trying to find it. Mhm.
Yep, trying to find. And then I realized, um, I've been so at my I had a birthday party here in Nebraska, and I hadn't had a birthday party in Nebraska for like 10, 15 years. And they did a whole big to do. My family came out and they asked me to speak. So I said, I've been running from my family for 25 years. I've been in Atlanta for 25 years. I've been running from them. The reason why I've been running was because of all of this stuff that was going on. And I'm I got tired of running. And that's why I realized I was lonely, because I was missing my family. I was missing that love and that connection with people who truly do care and love me. And once I realized that, it got things started to get better.
Get better.
I
Mhm.
don't I now don't get me wrong, there are days that I'm lonely still, and there are days,
Mhm.
but I know how to now I can acknowledge it and recognize it, and I know how to work through it. But when you don't do the work, that's how people end up losing their life, because they didn't put in the work to try to
Got to
get
put
better.
in the work. And
Did
you
you
got to
find it
open
any
yourself up to receive things from a different perspective and a different light. Like you said, you didn't even realize that you was a survivor. But
Hmm.
a lot of people can't go through having a mom that's on drugs. A lot of people can't go through going from
They
house
can't.
to house and, being comfortable one minute, not comfortable the next minute. It's a lot. People don't realize that. And that's why it's so important to be kind to people when you're in the community. Like I make
Yes.
sure I like make it my business to be kind to people because you don't know what nobody's going through. You don't know what you can say to brighten somebody's day. Somebody might was on the edge of taking their life or something.
Hmm.
It could be one
Hmm.
thing you say can bring them all the way back. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we got to make sure we loving on each other in a way and try to understand. I know we get our rocks off by seeing like messy shit online about people and stuff, but just sometimes we gotta look at it too. What if that was me they was talking about? You know?
Yes.
What if
Mhm.
everybody
Mhm.
was reading me? Everybody has something to say about my life because none of us is perfect. It's just sometimes
No.
some of us are not as exposed as other people.
Yep.
But if you peel back the layers, sometimes we're more alike than we're different.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
don't give a fuck
we just
It
recognize that the three of
yeah.
us here
yes.
talking
Oh my
how
God.
alike
I
we
don't give a
are.
fuck
Yeah.
what you have in life. We're more
Hmm.
alike
Yeah.
than we're
And it's
different.
and it's so funny because, just sitting here talking about it, because y'all know I'm a crier. I
Me
cry so
too.
Y'all know
easily.
goddamn crying, Dominique.
I'm trying not to, but because it just because sometimes you feel like you're the only one in the world.
Yep.
And then when you
And
connect
nobody
with
is going
other
through what
people,
you're going through. Yep.
when you get to hear other people talk about what they've been through and they've experienced what you've experienced, it's therapeutic to you again to
Hmm.
know that I'm not the only one that's feeling this way. And it's so ironic though that you had said that, that you put it out in the public. I'm not
Hmm.
okay. And I think
I'm
that
not
so
okay
many people just cannot find the strength to
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 say
do
that.
that.
say
Yes.
it out loud, and they keep it on the inside, and they would just rather die
Right.
from the
Hmm.
inside out, and rather than to say, this
So
is
that
not good.
so that
Mhm,
is that's what drove me. So I had never done anything like that. I had
mhm,
never, my on Facebook, I typically we like you said, Trent, we all, when I'm with my girlfriends, if we don't went to a pageant, we gonna read, we gonna laugh, we gonna
Oh
oh
yeah.
child, that dress was a mess. But that's in your
Yeah.
private. That's privately. I
Yeah.
would
mhm.
I would never do that on Facebook. And people do that. But people do me like that. Oh, that dress she had on was horrible. Why you got to put that on Facebook?
Right.
Why you can't just say that to your homegirl? And
Right.
keep that and keep that between y'all. I know my dress was ugly. I don't need you to
Yeah.
tell.
Yes,
And
Lord.
so and so I never was vulnerable on Facebook. I use Facebook
Mhm,
as a marketing tool to market myself, to market Sweetheart, and that was it. And I was so desperate that I was like,
mhm.
and I didn't know if I was going to make it through the night. I was like, I'm in this house by myself. Somebody needs to know what I'm going through in this house by
Mhm.
myself. And so
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's what prompted me to type those words that night. And it literally, that first message, she know I've told Kamaya, about it, but I don't know if she
Shut up.
knows how profound it was for me because Kamaya was also going through things.
Right.
I think this might have been
She lost her
either,
mom around
yeah,
that
she
time.
lost her mom. It might have been right around the time she lost her mom or right
Mhm,
right after. I can't remember, but she was going through, but even before she lost her mom, she was going through things with her family, with her transitioning and things like that. So she was already going through her own thing. And so for her to say that, it was so profound for me that
mhm.
it changed my perspective. And I was like, wait a minute, there's another day.
Yeah.
There's another day. Let me regroup. And so when I put it out there and I saw the reaction that I got from, and that's why people say, everybody says negative things about Facebook, and I feel the exact opposite. Facebook is a reflection of yourself because I don't see all the fights and all because I'm not friends with them people.
Right.
So that stuff don't show up on my timeline. I be sometimes Neil will call me and be like, "Ooh, child, did you see such and such?" And I'll be like, and he be having to give me the and he be having to give me the rundown because I don't have that in on my timeline because I'm not friends with those people. And so I think Facebook is a beautiful tool
It's all in
if
how you
you
use it.
if you use it
Yeah.
properly,
It's
yes.
all in how
And
you
you have to the noise. of all that noise of people's opinions about you, you got to tune it out. You got, and it's hard to do. I ain't gonna lie. I've seen some, and I'm not perfect. I've lashed out, before, and I've seen some things about me, and I was like, but usually when I lash out, it's not because of me. I lash out when it's about somebody. Like the last time I lashed out, I think was when I got into the situation with Baxter about Quentin.
Right.
That had nothing to do with me. I
Oh,
lashed
that was
out.
you.
Yeah.
That was, oh, now I'm putting the name to the face.
Yes,
Okay.
and the funny thing about that is I rarely am on really late. He was on really late that night.
Mhm.
And I had just, Quentin was literally, I had been in the hospital with him all that day, and he was literally laying in the bed next to me in my bed. And I just happened to wake up and I opened up my Facebook, and that was the first thing. And when he was saying what he was saying, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, absolutely not. So I'm typing my comments, and he basically was like, fuck what Gia said. And that just sent me over. And I was like, what you mean, fuck what I said? When I got this man sitting right here that
Mhm.
I've just been in the hospital with all day, and I know um, what the deal is,
Right.
and you telling everyone else the opposite. This is
Creating your
my
own narrative.
yes. This is my family. This person belongs to me, and
Mhm.
you're not going to. And so I went off the deep end,
You
and
went
then of course,
down.
Listen,
yes.
I'll
And
never
so
find anything wrong with that because you know me. I've been vocal for a very long time about
Ooh,
mine.
Jesus.
Listen,
y'all, yes.
Yes, yes, baby. Yes,
listen,
But
yes, yes,
listen.
see,
baby.
I don't
but
make
see,
no
this is
I don't make no qualms about it. That's my
and you're
family.
not supposed to. This is the thing.
My
This is what I
family.
love about this. Is what I love about Trent. And I had somebody in my life that was like this, and I miss him dearly, which is BJ. Tanisha Castelline could do no wrong in Trent's eyes,
None.
and even if she did wrong, he may tell her in private, "Girl, you was
Absolutely.
wrong for that," but you ain't gonna do it. You gonna take up for that one, and that is some. That's somebody that means that you truly love this,
Mm.
and that's
Absolutely.
what BJ. I don't know if y'all remember BJ
I
or
remember BJ.
yes, BJ was that for me. BJ, I could do no wrong, and now behind closed doors, he be like, "Nah, fool, now you done got me in this mess."
Right. But
but in
same thing.
public, he will run you over behind me,
Yeah.
and it is so important to have people who care about you like that because it keeps you grounded, but it also makes you feel loved and appreciated. And just gives you. Tanisha Castelline walked around this earth knowing she had one person for sure that was going to die for her.
Die for her, right?
And that means a
It's so
lot to
funny,
people.
Gia. The other day I was looking through my phone and I saw a post that she made about me. And she was just thanking me for being whatever I was to her in
Hmm.
her life. And at the end, she said, every girl needs a trend in their life. I ain't broke down and cried for Tanisha yet. That took me over the fucking and I'm just randomly going through stuff in my phone. And that just took, I'm telling you, I was in here bawling, right?
Mhm.
And it comes from, you know, because when this community jump you, they'll go get all their friends.
Hmm.
They can get all their comrades, and they'll come back and they'll jump you, and you be the only person. I ain't never like that jumping shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you, this mine for whatever
Yep.
she is and whatever she ain't. We ain't doing that.
We're not
You know what
doing
I'm
it.
saying?
Yep.
And I
Hmm.
don't. You listen. I don't go on no apology tour because I
Mhm.
meant everything I said.
You
I meant
yeah.
everything I done. I meant it.
Yeah.
And I didn't need everybody
That's
to
why
like
you get
me.
that's why you get the respect you get
Right.
because to this day, the what happened at Universe, you have never said, "Oh, bitch, I apologize for that." You
Never.
told them, you said, "Kiss my motherfucking ass. I ain't ever got to come back to that pageant." And you stood on business, and guess what? They been forgave you. You
Yeah.
ain't have to say
Yeah, and they ain't
you
always
ain't
have to,
have,
and they don't
yeah,
have to like me, and they don't have to hold me in
yeah,
certain regard, but I respect myself, and I
yeah.
know that, especially Atlanta. Atlanta is very cliquish, and they'll make you feel
Hmm.
like you're not good enough, and you have to
Mhm.
find it in yourself, and sometimes the girls succumb to that.
Yes.
Why they keep going get their body done. They go get nose jobs, they go get this, they go
Love
because
you,
Atlanta
Neil.
makes you feel that you're not good enough unless you look a certain way. unless you go to a certain designer, unless you do this, unless you use the people they deem good, and so it can be that thing. So the fight was for many things, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
they can rake it up as one thing, but it was for many things. And
Yeah.
you know what I always wondered about you, because I lost people back to back too. And I always wonder how people cope with that. I'm now learning that you lost your mama and then you turn around BJ, your best friend. You turned around Ivy White. You know what I'm saying? So all these people that were so close, because if you like me, sometimes we wish we could pick the phone up and call these people
Hmm.
just to talk about anything. You know what I'm saying? How did you cope with losing so many people back to back?
So, I think BJ was probably the heart. Well, Ivy, we knew it was coming. She was sick. She had the heart disease, and she prepared. She planned her own service and all of that. The day she passed away, she actually called us, and I got to talk to her. Quentin got to talk to her. So not saying that it wasn't hard. It was very hard,
But you were
but
more
it was.
prepared.
But we were prepared for it. We knew it was coming. When BJ passed away, it,
What's up, Neil?
without getting emotional, it was like a knife just being shoved in
Mm,
my gut, because he was my ride or die. Number one, I literally had just talked to him that day. We were fussing at each other because he owned a newcomer pageant, and that was the weekend of Sweetheart, and he wanted his newcomer king and queen to perform. And I was like, BJ, I was like, it's too many people on the lineup. They can't perform. He's like, oh, Miss Things, you can put them on us. So we are, but it was in love. We weren't mad at each other. We were,
mhm.
but this is the same man. I'll never forget one day, this was years ago, my phone was cut off. My cell phone had got cut off because I didn't have money to pay the bill. And one day it just rang. And I was like, why is my phone ringing? And I looked and it was BJ. And I answered the phone and he was like, bitch, next time your phone get cut off, you make sure you tell me. He paid my bill. And
Oh wow, I
and
love
so
that.
and so he rode for me so hard like that. So when he passed away, and I'll never forget that night, um, I had so Stasha and Roman were the king and queen at the time, and
Okay,
he passed away the weekend of Sweetheart Newcomer, and I was very upset with Stasha and Roman. I love them to death, but I was at that time I was in boss mode, and I mean me and Stasha was going at it. We was going at arguing back and forth, and so I was so mad, and I got home and my phone kept ringing. And I thought people were calling me about what happened with me and Stasha. And so I was not answering the phone. But then Makai called like back to back. And so I was like, what do Makai want? And I'm thinking he's calling me about Stasha. And I answer the phone. I'm like, boy, I don't want to talk about Stasha. And he was like, oh, you haven't heard. And so then he told me, and I'm like, the floor just was ripped out from underneath me. And that's when things just, because not only did he pass that year, two of my so I had three brothers. One of them passed. My brother we share the same mom and dad. He passed away when he was 17, so that was years ago. But then I had two other brothers. They passed away within a couple of years from each other. But one of them was the same year BJ passed away. So BJ passed away, Ivy passed away, my brother passed away. Like all these back to back. So when BJ passed away, it was like, all right, that's it. I can't do this no more.
mhm,
But I did not know that I was slowly going into the depression.
mhm,
And it wasn't until, recently where I acknowledged that it was depression, but the loss, it never goes, the people say, things you heal with time. I don't believe in that. It does, it never,
Mm,
the loss of my brother and the loss of BJ, when I think about it, it still feels the same as if it was yesterday.
really?
It
mm,
still feels the
mm,
same.
mm,
The only
mm.
the only thing that changes is your coping mechanism. Like
Okay,
Yeah.
I can cope with it without bursting out in tears, but that pain is exactly the same, and
Yes.
and that hole and that void never go. There are days I can show you now. My BJ's name is still in my favorites on my phone. I cannot delete it.
Yes.
And that's not even. I've called it one day
because
just to
deleting it
see,
means what?
and I still got my mom's number in my phone. Deleting it means deleting them out of my life,
Wow.
and I'm not. I can't do it. I can't. I can't delete their number off my phone. When my dad comes over to my house, he always says to me, because I have pictures of my brother up. My dad can't have pictures of his kids up that have passed away because it's too hard for him. But I have pictures of me and my brother. I'm looking at like four of them right now. But and every year on his birthday, and the anniversary that he died. Same thing for BJ. I announce, so I say something, and I do that because I want to keep their memory alive. Because if I don't, who's going to do it? I don't want people to forget BJ.
Right.
There's a whole generation that has come out that don't know who that man is,
Right.
and he meant so much to me that I have to make sure. And so if I delete his number out of my phone, it's like I'm deleting him, and I just can't. I can't bring myself to do it. I just can't. He used to he when he lived in Atlanta, he used to live with me, and he would go play cards with Naisha and them. And my ringtone was Jill Scott's "Living My Life Like It's Golden." So when I would call him, it would "Living My Life Like It's Gold," and like fail because he would be over there way too late. I would call him. And everybody, Naisha said, every time we hear "Living My Life Like," they'd be like, "Oh, Gia told you time to go home. It's time to go home." And I just miss being able to call my friend and say, it's time to get your butt home. I miss being able to call him and say and tell him off. You know what I mean? And say, you ain't supposed to be doing that. And I miss him giving me a hug and telling me, fuck that pageant. Who cares that you lost that pageant? They cheated anyway. I
And
miss that love so much that the memories that I have are the only thing that gets me
Mhm.
through.
yeah.
It's the only, and the fact that I still have really close people. I mean, I have Quentin and I have, other close people that are really close to me and they share those memories and I can talk to them about it. I talk to Quentin about BJ all the time. I'd be like, remember when BJ did XYZ? And we can laugh and we can talk about
Yeah.
it. Those things, that's important to me that I have to be able to talk
Hey,
about it
Chris.
and make people remember who he is.
And that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. I, on the other end, don't like to share too much about Tanisha because I feel like I'll be wanting to be selfish and have it to myself.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So it's a crazy thing. You
But
know
you
what I'm
have
saying?
the thing is
Neil
you
said you got
have
him.
yes, and I got Neil. Let me tell you something. If you want to know where the bones are buried in my life,
Uh-huh.
you need to call Neil. Neil knows there's not a single thing that man does not know about me.
I
That
live.
man, when my mom passed away, that's who I found out she passed away when I was at work. And my coworkers, they knew Neil. So they called, he was a teacher. So he left school, came and got me. Every major amount, whenever I make a financial decision, a career decision, I call him. I always tell him he's my more, even though he's a whole mess. We know Neil is a whole mess,
Ooh,
but
Jesus.
Man.
he is my moral compass because outside of that bubble of mess that he got,
Uh-huh. He's a good person.
he's a good person. And I mean, when I tell you a man that's got stability,
I love
ask him
it.
what that 401k looking like.
Okay, Neil, share that now. Share that. Did you we're gonna go to a lighter note now.
Okay. Yes,
uh,
yes.
were you the first one to do Jill Scott for
So
talent?
no, no. So now I'm gonna say I'm the first one that did it at Universe, and I got a standing ovation. And
Okay.
Alexa Sherrington gave me a perfect score. She said she don't give anybody perfect scores.
Oh, word.
Um, but where I got Jill Scott was from Angelica Sanchez. Angelica Sanchez did it for
Okay,
talent,
Piggy.
and I was trying to think of for my first pageant. I was like, what am I gonna do for talent? And Tierra had seen Angelica do it, and she was like, I think you could do Jill Scott. And I wanted to do Erica Badu.
Okay.
And so Al Milan, that's who my father is. And when I told him I wanted to do a pageant, I was just a little boy. And Al was my father because I was a fan of his. And so we would go see him on the show. And so I said, I'm gonna do a pageant. He was like, child, you ain't doing no pageant. And so then I told him I was gonna do Erica Badu. And he was like, Erica Badu? What you gonna do with it? No, ma'am. And so then Tierra said, well, you should do Jill Scott. And so I did Jill Scott. And as a newcomer, I was just winning, but I was doing it would be me and backup singers. And
Yeah.
so I was doing it with my backup singer. We were doing the Let's Take a Long Walk.
Uh-huh.
That's that. So I won every newcomer pageant with that song. Well,
Okay.
when I stepped up and I did Universe, I was like, well, I can't do that song anymore. I got to do something else. So they had that live. I was the first person to do that live. I found it on YouTube And I never forget. It was like 20 girls. Yasmin had won the pageant that year. It was like 20, maybe 25 girls. It was
Okay.
my first time doing Universe, and it was just a microphone. It was pitch black, and I had to do my own makeup. And everybody was worried that they're like, "How is Gia gonna look?" And I remember I walked out, and everybody was like, "Oh, she looked good." Like they were surprised how I looked. And then I started to perform, and I remember this so vividly because I was raising my hand like performing, trying to be dramatic, and my fingernail popped off, and I did like this to catch my fingernail, but it was on the beat. And so when I caught, the gaze, anything to take
Uh-huh.
the gaze up. So
Uh-huh.
when I did like this on the beat, the crowd just lost it. They
Yeah.
didn't realize I was just catching my fingernail.
Yeah.
But so I grabbed it, and the crowd completely lost. And so the next day, so that was when they used to announce, your category winners
Yeah,
at.
preliminary winners,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so we were at rehearsal for final night, and they were announcing preliminary winners, and me and Sheena, who is Eugene now,
Okay.
we tied for talent. That's
Okay.
when Eugene did, I think, Tina Turner. So we tied for
Okay.
talent, and Alexis stood up and said, "Listen, I never give out perfect scores, and Gia Tajoure got a perfect score from me last night." And Paris France, I didn't know who Paris France was. I ran into her in the bathroom that night, and she was like, "You're the girl that did Jill Scott. Oh my God, you had me crying."
Oh,
And
wow.
it just like I was like, "Oh, this is my talent now." I
Good
mean,
job.
I
And
can't
after
do
you
nothing
did
now.
that live version, everybody and their
Everybody did
mother, their grandmother,
it.
their aunties, their sister, their cousin, even some of their brothers started doing this
Yes.
song for talent.
And people will call me and ask me how to perform it.
Wow.
And I tell them all the time, I've never rehearsed that. Every time I've done that talent, I just do it on the fly. I know the words inside and out, but I never stand up in a microphone and pretend and practice like what I'm gonna do. I just let it organically take me
Wow.
wherever I
Yeah.
need it to take me.
Just the moment, the
And
mood.
yeah, I just let the moment take me. And it works every time because
Mhm.
I usually win talent with even as many times as people have seen me do it.
Mhm.
I usually will win talent with it.
Eric Cantone said he got that song for you.
He did. Yep. I used to go to Terry Cantone for, and I still have he used to put them on DVDs,
Uh-huh.
and he would put like the little face on the like he had a little sticker machine.
Uh-huh.
He was legit, and he would put like a picture of
So
you and
he
then
stole
Gia
that
Tajoure
machine.
talent. Okay, but Terry did. I still have every mix that he ever did for me, but I don't have them in digital format. I have them all on CD, and I refuse to throw them away because I feel like they're gonna be worth some money one day.
How did you go from how did you go from winning Sweetheart to becoming a CEO?
Oh, that's a good question. First of all, I won Sweetheart the year that I got left out the top 10
You
at
sure did. You went right
yes.
over to Sweetheart.
So I went over. Tamara called me. So Tamara knows how to get a contestant.
Oh
Okay,
my God.
let me tell you, she know how
Oh my
because
God.
she pulls on your emotions. So Tamara called me, and I was already a
Tamara
former
might be a
Sweetheart.
pimp too.
Let me tell you something. She was a pimp for her sportswear for Universe when remember she
Sure
came out looking
was,
with the
sure
cane.
was. I remember the case.
But anyway, I was a former Sweetheart newcomer, so I was already a part of the system, and I had just lost I didn't make the top 10, and I kind of felt like I should have been in the top 10.
Mhm. I get
Um, so, and if I had been in the top 10, I would have been in the top 5 because I had some good stuff that remember that's the
it.
year I was walking out in the audience.
Yes,
And
yes.
Trent is the one. If anybody want to know why I did that, Trent encouraged me. I came and I said, I'm gonna put my dress on. Trent said, go ahead, let's do it.
Do it.
And Tanisha said, baby, don't do that. And I said, nope. Trent said yes, so I did it. So anyway, so I had
'Cause
lost.
I
I was
heard about
devastated.
Marissa doing something similar to that,
Yes,
so I was
yes,
like,
she did the same thing. She did the same exact thing. So Tamara called me and she said, listen, she said, it's time for you to come home. Just come home. So that tugged on my heartstrings. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go do the pageant. Well, I went and did the pageant, and it was like 8 girls. It was Alexis Tajoure, it was Kyla, it was Diamond France, Nicole. I mean, the lineup was something serious, right? And
Mhm.
so when I saw Nicole was doing, I still remember my speech. when I saw Nicole was doing the pageant was a 2 day. It was interview was the first day, and so it was a 2 day pageant. And I said, I have got to do something to set myself apart from Nicole. So I had just got left out of the top 10. And so I was driving to the pageant and I thought of my speech while I was driving to the pageant. And that speech, I think, is what got me to win the pageant because I mean, I've never felt the building shake
Do you
that hard.
remember that speech?
I remember the speech.
Could you tell us the speech?
So the speech was, um, I may have been, so, wait, let me think. I may have been left out the 10, but tonight I came to win. They say Nicole Love Dupree is the one to beat, but in order for that to happen, they would simply have to cheat. And when I did that, when I said that,
Uh,
the crowd just
oh.
lost their mind. So when and mind you, Nicole wasn't my mother at the time. She's my mother now.
Okay.
But after the pageant was over, Nicole said, I mean, I really did want to win. I mean, I wanted to win. So she ended up becoming my mother. This goes to show the type of person Nicole was. She became my mother while I was sweetheart. She became my mother. And so I was giving up the pageant. I was getting ready to give up sweetheart. And I had like 11 girls lined up that were going to do the pageant. All of them found out Tanisha was doing the pageant. They was like, no, ma'am. And so I ended up having like three girls. It was Tanisha and uh
Ireland.
Tyra and somebody. I can't remember the other girl.
What's what?
But
Simone Golden and
yes. So I was devastated. I cried at registration. I cried. But Candy saw the effort that I had put in. And she was like, it has nothing to the number. You can't control
you can't.
those numbers. You did everything that you could do. So at that time, Tamara was getting ready to retire and they were like, "Well, who's going to be the new CEO?" And so Damani and Tanisha were reigning, and Damani was like, "Well, y'all," because I guess during their reign they talked about me so much, and so Damani was like, "Well, y'all keep talking about the girl. You already know that what she's capable of. Just go ahead and ask Gia. She'll be good at it." And so if it was not for Damani bringing my name up, and so Candy was like, "Um, let me think about that." But see, the thing is, whoever is the CEO, Candy has to be able to trust them with the money.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
Candy is a gambler, so Candy
I
likes to
heard.
get Candy likes to if she has the money for the pageant, she wants to get rid of it so she doesn't gamble it away. And
Absolutely.
she knew me for being a newcomer, and when I was a newcomer, she would send me money to go pay for the venue, and she never had to worry about me spending her money.
Right.
And she had a CEO that had kind of, did her dirty. This is before Tamara. And so she was just really leery about people. She's like, well, Gia seems like a trustworthy person. And so she's like, okay, we're going to give it a try. And that's when Tanisha gave up the pageant, I mean, she had heavy. That was my first year as a CEO. We had heavy hitter. Remember, it was Sunny Delight. It was
Dominique
Dominique
Chappelle.
Chappelle. I mean, she had all these heavy hitters, and we just went up from there.
Mhm.
Now, Tamara told me something that has rung true. When she talked to me, when she said, "Listen, you're taking on a different role from being a competitor to being a promoter," and she said, "You have to be. I was the nice girl." She said, "You have to be okay with being a bitch sometimes." Now, I'm a Scorpio. The people who know me outside of Gia, they know that I'm a bitch when I want to be. But Gia, I work very hard on my persona, on who I want Gia and how I want her to look and represent. But I could not be in order to manage that because otherwise the formers will run over you,
Mhm.
the contestants will run over you. And there's been plenty of times, y'all, I mean, y'all have seen it where contestants have done things or the formers have said and done things, but you gotta have a tough skin. And I've now been the CEO for like what 13 years now.
Oh,
And
nice.
out of
I
out
didn't
of those
realize it's
13,
been that long.
it's been a long time. And I have tried to turn in my resignation like three or four times, and Candy will not accept it.
I know that's right, Candy. Keep
She re-
Gia
she
on that.
she re- she refuses to accept it, and the reason why she refuses to accept it is because, she always says she's like, "Girl, whenever I call you, you don't never answer the phone, but the night of the pageant, you deliver every single time."
Oh,
And she just really appreciates the work that, and she knows that she don't all she does have to do is just sit back
Right.
and watch the pageant.
She trusts that you're gonna
She
get it
trusts
done.
me, but
It's
she's a ride.
funny.
She's a ride or die though, because
Yeah,
she was
I know.
she be ready to fight for me.
I know. Listen, I remember Deasia said something. Y'all got into it on that, baby. Candy gave her money back and said, "Baby, get out of here."
Listen, so
I
Deasia
said,
told
"Oh,
me,
they
and
don't
so
play."
she did this twice. So Deasia and Trinity, which me and Trinity, actually, this is Trinity Black. She's one of the first girls that I befriended in this industry. So we've known each other for 20 years.
Okay.
But me and her got into it, and me and Deasia got into it. And it wasn't my doing. Like Deasia got upset because one day she was messaging about the pageant.
Uh-huh.
She messaged me on Facebook. And you know on Facebook how if somebody's typing, you can see the little bubble showing that they're
Uh-huh.
typing.
Uh-huh.
So she had asked me a question and I responded, but she was messaging me while I was at work. So the first response I responded. The second time she messaged me, I started to type because she saw the bubbles, but then the bubbles went away. But that's because I got
You got busy.
preoccupied with work. Yes.
Right.
Well, instead of like coming back and saying, "Hey girl, you never did reply," she went on Facebook and laid me out. So I was like, well, girl, I was at work. So she
Right.
laid me out so bad. And so Candy saw that she laid me out. So she came in and to come to the pageant. She said, oh, no, no, no. We don't do my CEO like that. You can have your money back.
Get your money back and get out of here.
You know?
I'm like,
And then
what?
Trinity, she got upset because she had paid early entry fee. Early entry fee is non-refundable and it's non-transferable.
Yeah.
So if Dominique is doing a pageant and she's paid her early entry fee and she decides that she doesn't want to do the pageant anymore, she cannot say, I want that entry fee to go to Gia Tajoure.
Right.
That
Mhm.
defeats the purpose of an early entry fee at
Right.
that point. So, but also, I don't own this pageant and I don't make the rules. I just enforce the rules.
Mhm.
So she decided she wasn't going to do the pageant. So she wanted her entry fee to go to someone else. And I was like, unfortunately, Candy's rules are, that. So she didn't get mad at Candy. She got mad at me,
Mm.
and she laid me out. And she came to the pageant, and Candy said, "No, ma'am, you laid my CEO out. You are not welcome in
Ah,
this pageant."
go ahead, Candy. And
And so,
that was one more time too that there's something big happened with the pageant. We talked about how
yeah.
contestants can get kind of unruly. That was the contestant that confronted you because what did
Mhm.
they feel good about the scores or the placements or something?
Well, so there's a couple times that has happened where they've confronted me, but the one that you're talking about in particular, you're talking about Barbie.
Yes.
Yeah. So, um, and now, mind you, all of these people we've made up. I made up with Trinity. I made up with
Uh-huh.
Deasia. Those were silly little disputes.
Yeah.
The one with Barbie and her husband was a big one.
Yeah.
And it took me a minute to get past it. But and in Barbie's defense, Barbie never laid a hand on me. It was her husband who Will. That's the one who
Okay.
put his hands on me. But what happened was this is why perception means so much. So she was competing, and Asia Nicole was also competing.
Mhm.
Asia Nicole had competed the previous year, and she did horrible. She
Horrible.
fell,
I remember
yes, yes, she fell apart, and she
because
was
I
really
tried
on
to
the.
fix her makeup for gown. It was just like everything was
Yeah, everything was just falling
yeah.
apart. Well, she came back. You never know who's going to have a good night,
You
and that
don't
was just
know.
that was a bad night for her. But she had resilience, and she knew what she wanted, so she fixed her flaws and
Yes,
she came back.
he came back
Well,
too. Do you hear me?
I didn't know Barbie. I didn't know. I really didn't know Asia. And throughout the night, I would go back and I would check on the girls. Is everybody okay? Is anybody? But in particular, when Asia got off the stage for a swimsuit, she had got a standing ovation. And
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you." I was so happy for her, and I was congratulating her.
Mhm.
I wasn't saying congratulate you won the pageant, but I was just happy she had that moment.
Yeah.
And Barbie witnessed that moment when
Oh,
I was doing that. And so she took that a certain way, not understanding what had happened at Asia the previous year. Also,
right.
not understanding I had nothing to do with the scores
Right.
or any of that. I was just saying, congrats. So at the end of the night, Barbie got first runner up. And I went to go pass out the envelopes to everyone. And I thought Barbie was excited that she got first runner up because she was a
Mhm.
newcomer. And I was
Right.
like, oh, she's gonna be excited. So I was like, congratulations, Barbie. Here you go, here go your first runner up. And she's like, oh, don't do that, Miss Gia. And I was like, What? Did I miss something? I said, what's wrong, baby? I mean, literally, I didn't know what. And so I literally said, what's wrong, baby? And she said, oh, you ain't said nothing to me all night. And she said, but now you want to say congratulations. And so she was in her feelings. And I said, oh, okay. Do you want to talk about it? I'm sorry. I didn't know what's wrong. And so I should have walked away in that moment, but I didn't. And I was trying to rectify it. So I was like, tell me what's wrong. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, okay, well, you don't have to talk about it. So I turned around and walked away. But when I turned around and walked away, Will said, that's why they do you the way they do you at Universe. Why did you say that? Because now I've lost. Now you done pissed me off now.
Right.
So I turn around and I run up to both of them, and I'm like, so we arguing. Me and Barbie going toe to toe like two drag queens.
Yeah.
We just just yapping at each other. And the next thing I know, I mean, and Barbie wasn't gonna hit me. We were just literally just arguing with each other.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, Will just came out of the side and knocked the shit out of me.
Whoa.
And I hit the floor. And I'm the kind of person where I am a fighter. And you know, he that was a sucker punch he took. And I wasn't prepared for that. But so there's a video of me going around and I'm screaming and yelling, and
Yeah.
somebody's trying to hold me down. And I'm like,
Derek.
let me go. Yes. And he's so big, so much bigger than
Yes, girl. I
Chad.
said, did you know Gia? He said, no, I don't know her like that. I said, well, why the fuck was you holding her like that?
Girl, I mean, child, when I tell you he would, I mean, all my energy. So mind you, Candy over there trying to jump in the fight,
Oh
and
my God.
I was just so upset at the moment because I was like, how did it go from that to
Congratulations.
I had no idea that they were feeling that way. So I was very upset, and you know, I had called the police that night. I had got a I actually had got a what do you call it, a warrant put
Oh,
out on them. So if they at any time if they would have come to a pageant, I could have called the police and had them arrested. Which I they did come to a pageant, and I had planned to do that. My plan was, I mean, because I hold grudges. I'm a Scorpio. I hold grudges. So I was not gonna. Candy was like, just let it go, blah blah blah, just let it go. I was like, I'm not letting that shit go. That he sucker punched me. No, they're getting arrested. And so they were coming to Black America or somewhere, and Benny knew that I was planning on calling the police, and he was like, please don't do that. He was like, they made a misjudgment. That's not who they are as people. I think that you're gonna regret it. I was like, I'm not gonna regret shit. You know, I was pissed. So, but they talked me out of from doing it. So then about a year later passed, and I competed at Duval. Maybe it was more than a year. And I competed at Duval, and that's the night I won. But I came out for when I got done with talent. I got a standing ovation from talent, and Will was standing in the back with Dontrell, and Dontrell said, because Dontrell was in my talent, and he was like, "Oh, you did that, good job." And Will said, "Yes, congratulations, good job." And I said, "Thank you." And I said, "Oh." I wanted to take my thank you back so
yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I was so mad because I was like, I don't speak to him.
Right.
And but then so when I said thank you, I think that kind of opened up a door for him to think that, you know, it was okay to approach me. So I kept hearing from different people, like Quentin was like, you know, Barbie really wants to talk to you. You know, Benny called me, and Candy sat me down and was like, listen, you know, what they did was wrong, but just because somebody make a bad judgment call and they do something doesn't mean that you can't forgive people. You know, you got to be in the business of forgiving people. And so I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, I'll have a conversation if they want to call me. So Barbie called me, and we had a very long conversation, very good. We actually have more in common than we thought.
Right.
And in that moment, I let it go and I forgave her. Now I haven't forgotten. There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference.
We talked
There's a
about that last
difference.
night,
Yeah,
forgiving
yeah. I haven't
forgiving.
forgotten, but I also know that uh, people make bad decisions, and that should not define them.
Right.
And so I just was like, I'm not going to let this define me, and I'm not going to let it define her, because you know it's just not worth it. And
And I
so we
thought it was
forgot.
so big of you to allow her to still compete.
Yeah, I
for the
mean,
system,
we
even though
went back
y'all
and
have
forth
it.
about that, and Candy said it's up to you. If you don't want her to compete in the pageant, I will tell her she cannot compete in the pageant. And I was like, first of all, I don't own this pageant. I'm giving. This is my way of giving back to the system. That's the first thing, and I've forgiven this woman now, and so it's just time for me to move on. And if she wins the pageant, I wholeheartedly was going to work with her and help her become, whatever she wanted to be. I was prepared for it, and I went and me and her talked. And I was like, that's going to be our story, not the fact that we fought, that we got into that fight. Our story will be you winning this pageant and we work well together, and you go on to become this big person or whatever. But I think Barbie, life happens, and so I think she's got other things going on. But even she came now, I would love for Barbie to win the pageant. But like I said, I never gonna forget, but but I definitely forgave. Forgiving and forgetting is two different things.
It is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now let's talk about where you are personally, where you are career wise, and thinking about those two pieces. How's the person that you are now setting the path for the person that you want to be in the future?
Oh, that's such a good question.
That is a good
So
question. Go ahead, Dominique.
okay. I'm living in my it's called the Niners era. So that's basically at the end of every decade that you're in. So if you're 29, 39, 49. And I was told by this lady that being 49, I'm in my Niners, I need to think about what happened in my 40s and what do I want to do differently in my 50s and how do I prepare for my 50s. And so one of the ways I prepared is by coming home. I'm only here for a year for work. So I'll be back in Atlanta. But I wanted to come home, realign, and get close with my family. I have nieces and nephews that are growing up, and I want them to know who I am. And I want to segue slowly away from pageants.
Okay.
I still have some goals that I want to achieve. Universe still is a goal of mine. If I never win Universe, I am okay with that.
Mhm.
Let me first say that Universe is not going to be written on my headstone, even if I win that pageant. So I will be okay because I'm already family with those people. When I
Let
go to
me
that
ask you really
pageant.
quick as we talk about Universe, because you win the Duval. People who win Duval normally you win that pageant. You
Mhm.
Miss Sweetheart, all these are the same girls, the same form. Why do you think it's so difficult to win Black Universe?
So it's twofold. That's a really good question. And I'm gonna answer that, and I'm gonna go back to Dominique's question. So one of the reasons why it's difficult for me is because when I get to Universe, the pressure is so heavy that I can't control it. And it takes over when I hit the stage.
Okay.
Nothing. When I go to Duval, there's no pressure at all. I go to Duval and I'm having a good time. When I go to any other pageant, it's a totally. But when I get to Universe, it's so because not only do I know that the people that own that pageant want me to win. I know that the formers want me to win. I know that the audience wants me to win. And because they all want me to win, I'm like, I gotta win. And then
Mhm.
I tense up. The second thing is, and Quentin has pointed this out for so many years, and a lot of people have told me that I need to go over to Grand. And I do think that the way I look in my clothes next to those other girls, the way I used to look in my clothes,
Right,
let me
because
say
baby,
that.
you got your high school
Yes.
tape back now.
Yes. So when I look at, for example, when I look at the last time I competed with Jada, and I had on probably one of the most expensive gowns. And I remember Cameron came up to me. I wore the gown for something else, and he came up to me. He said, "I did not know that that's how that gown looks. I didn't know, but it's because of my shape." And I've had that problem with my shape. Universe is, and when the year I got first runner up, this is a hilarious story. We were in the back for question and answer, and I had got a standing ovation for talent. and nobody had ever seen me do talent. I broke the house for talent.
Yes, you did.
And
Almost there.
Pampers, Jason was like, he was backstage monitoring the girls, and he was like, "Oh my God, Gia, your talent, your talent, your talent." It was so. And Amber Starr, may she rest in peace. She was one of the contestants. She was like, "Yeah, she did good in talent, but we know the universe ain't no talent pageant." So, I mean, to my face, she said this to my face, and so.
Neo, shut up.
So what that means is you got to have
Fashion.
that you got to have that fashion. You got to have that body. I can have on the top clothes, but if I ain't got that hourglass shape, them judges ain't checking for me. They are not checking for me. But it's a new day.
I
It's
know
a
I love your
new
shape now. I remember when your shape first changed, and I inbox you?
You did? Yes,
I
you
said, "Damn, this
did.
makes all the difference." And I
It
believe,
makes
Robert Rooks was the one who helped
yes,
with that. And I
he
said,
did. Rick
"This makes
Rick told
all
me
the difference."
Rick and Marissa have been saying this is why I wanted to be Duval so bad. One time, Rick and Marissa called me on a three-way call before I was Duval, and I had competed for Duval like maybe twice. And I thought they were calling me to talk me into doing Duval again. They were
Mhm.
calling me to talk to me about Universe, and they were like, "We want you to win Universe. You got to do something about that shape." And Rick has been saying for years, "I need a waistline, baby. I have a waistline now. I have a waistline." So, but so that's why that's been the problem with Universe. Now that I know, now that I feel good about myself, and I have this like I feel sexy when I put on my drag.
Mhm.
I feel like a woman. I don't feel so. I feel like the old Gia when Gia was back when she won Black Continental as a newcomer. I feel like that Gia, and so that's what's going to carry me over when I do go back to Universe. But like I said, I'm segueing. I'm wrapping my career, my pageant career up, and in my personal career, I made a move to Atlanta. I mean to Nebraska on purpose because I'm trying to set myself up for retirement. I don't want to be working until I'm 70 years old. I want to be able to,
Mhm.
and with the way this economy is and things, and I want to be able to travel and enjoy life. But in order to do that, I have to make sacrifices now. And so that's why I'm slowly I already am selective with the pageants that I do anyways, because I just
Mhm.
don't believe in, and Dominic, I think I may have heard you say this one day. I don't join stuff that I'm not gonna be a part of wholeheartedly. That is why I chose to be a part of People's Pageant. I I knew before they decided to branch apart from Universe, I knew that was going to happen because I saw their vision and I saw their brand, and I was like, I want to be a part of that. And so I went and I competed in the pageant, and I to this day I help in any way possible. That's why I'm so involved in Sweetheart. I'm so involved in Duval. But you can't do that if you win every Tom, Dick, and Harry pageant, So, so I'm very selective. And everybody always tells me, go do something else besides Universe, which I agree. There are other things that I would like to be. I do want to go because actually before I did Universe, I did Black America, and I do want to compete back again in Black America. But that goal for Universe is too strong and heavy for me. I've got to accomplish that, and I will. But after once I accomplish that goal, then I'm done. I'm and I have no desire to. I like going to these other pageants. I love. I'll go see a Continental, I'll go see USA, and I'll sit in the audience. But I will say this: I've always been a firm believer in this. Nobody puts on a pageant the way we do.
Mhm.
Nobody does. I have been to the USAs and the Continentals and all of those, and they don't. They it's people say that those are the top pageants. For me, it's Black Universe, and the reason why is Black. I'm raised in Omaha, Nebraska, with all white people. I went to a school at one point where there was only 5 Black people.
Oh, wow.
So if I don't see another white person, I am okay. But I mean, I'm just saying, and I love the Continentals of the world, and I love the USA's. But I don't. That's not my pinnacle.
Mhm.
That's not what my and nobody. And when I go to Black Universe, that's more than just a show.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
That is our gala. That is our, you know what I mean? That is
Mhm.
top tier, and it is nothing like it. So I'm okay with once I win that, which I will win that. Then
You'll win it. I know
I'm a
you will.
retire.
I know you will.
Okay, we just have a few more questions because we know we've
Mhm.
kept you for quite a while.
Okay.
Of everything that you've been through in your life, and you think about all the events that have occurred and everything that you've been through and everything you've had to endure, what is one of the biggest things you've had to forgive yourself for?
Oh, the biggest thing that I've had to forgive myself for is um, not liking myself
Mhm.
for a long time. For a long time, and it has not, and it's just recently changed. And I'm not gonna lie, some of it has to do with the weight loss. Um, but a lot of it has to do with the work that I talked about before about finding out. I was the type of person I didn't know what it was that I liked. I didn't know, what it was I wanted out of life. I was just going through the motions, like what do I want to be? What do I want to do? What do I want? I didn't have the answers to those things, and that's why I ended up picking up so much weight because y- I just was going through life, not doing anything and eating, and the next thing you know, I'm 236 pounds and not happy with myself, and so um, I just realized that it's important to like the person that you look at that you're looking at in the mirror, regardless if anybody else likes that person or not. And as I've come into the age that I am, that's why I'm so proud to say the age that I don't hide behind it. I'm a bicentennial baby. I was born in 1976, and so I'm very proud of that. And I like Gary. I mean, I love Gary. Actually, I love the person who I am. I would not change the fact that some people say, that some of the things that I do are some weaknesses. Then maybe I'm too kind, or maybe I'm too forgiving, or things like that. I like being that person.
Me
Yeah.
too. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Good.
and I'm
Can't hold
okay
you in my
with that.
spirit too long like that. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it's like
Mm.
you gotta let things go, and I can look in the mirror now, and I'd be like, look at Gary, and I'm so proud of him, and I'm so proud of the things, and so, but that does not happen overnight, and that's why when you hear people say it's not a cliche when they say it gets better in your 40s or when you're 50s or whatever. It does get better because in your
It does
20s,
get better.
it does because in your 20s you're thinking you're trying to impress everybody, and
Mhm.
in your 30s you feel like you haven't made it,
Yes.
and then in your 40s you grinding and you're like, well, I'm almost there, and now that I'm at a point where I'm at 50, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Listen.
So it's like I
Yeah.
like me.
Listen, that is so true because you look as you get older, you start to look at things from a different lens, and the
Different
things that
perspective,
seemed
yeah.
so important at one point, it's like now, like, "Bitch, I was
Who
stressing over that."
cares?
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yes.
You don't care. Yeah.
Who gives a damn? Like, what's more important? What's more important to me is the fact that my niece can call me and say, "Can you come pick me up and take me to the movies?"
Yeah.
And the fact that my dad can just stop by and come visit me whenever he wants to come visit. Those things are important. Or the fact that I get a text message from Quentin and he's like, "When you coming in town? I can't wait." Like
What was the
that's
deciding
what matters.
factor? Because sometimes we walk around with the weight on us, right?
Mhm.
And I'm a person who gains weight, like, easily, right? So it's like
Mhm.
and I just started doing things to lose a little weight, and too
Yeah.
at what point was it for you that you looked in the mirror and said, "I have to make some type of change and feel better?" Because your clothes
So,
fit different, you look better, you look more
mhm.
youthful, all this stuff starts to happen, right? What was that moment for you?
So I was everybody had been telling me, you need to do plus pageant, you need to do plus pageant. And I refused. Everybody's like, oh, you'll win Black Universe Grand on your first try, which I disagree with that. That people sleep on plus girls like that's an easy win. No,
Yeah.
ma'am.
No,
Those girls
ma'am.
battle. Those girls battle over
Those
there.
girls battle.
Even yes. And so, but okay, what if I did go win NBU Grand? Every time they would call me out to perform, I would bust out in tears because I'm like, I'm sad. And so one day I got on one day I got on the scale and that number said 236. I said, because I was always like, I'm not a plus girl. I'm one of the girls that's like, I'm not like, Katrina. Katrina, they created those pageants for people like Katrina because it's unfair to judge them against somebody like a Sasha. Their clothes are going to fit different. But I'm
Right.
like in between. I always compare myself to like Victoria. And so I'm like, I'm in between. I'm not no plus girl. And so I got on that scale and I said, well, shit, I guess I am a plus
Yes,
girl.
I am.
I guess I am. And so then after I saw the number on the scale, I saw a video of me I was at a resort. I had went to a resort and I didn't recognize who I was. And
Mm.
I was like, oh no, I can't. This one, so this guy said to me, so I was going to Tasia's house, and um, she was lived in this gated community, and I went through the gate without getting buzzed in, and this white guy was walking his dog with his daughter, and he was like, "You're not supposed to do that." And he was yelling at me, cussing me out or whatever, and I said, "Shut up with your fat ass," and he said, "When's the last time you looked in the mirror?" And I was gutted. I was
Oh my
like,
God. Did
I
he end
am
you with that?
fat. He tore me up. So I said, okay, I've got to lose some weight. I've got to. So I went to my doctor. So and plus I was very unhealthy. So I go to the doctors on a regular for physicals and stuff.
Mhm.
And my A1C levels were pre-diabetic. I was high cholesterol, high
Mhm.
blood pressure. Everything that was high, and everything that wasn't supposed to be low was low. And I was like, okay, what? And so I talked to my doctor about it, and I was like, what do I need to do? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you a lie and say, "Oh, I went on a diet and I exercised and I did do those things." Because you got to maintain, but I
Mhm.
did get help. I went on a shot. It's Zepbound is what I went on,
Mhm.
and it started dropping off instantly. But what it
Mhm.
did, it wasn't about. And Oprah said it this so perfect. It took away the noise of food. I always used to constantly think about what am I going to eat for dinner? What's for lunch? What am I going to eat for breakfast tomorrow? What am I this? All food was always there. That
Mhm.
Zepbound took that noise away. I didn't think about
Yeah.
it anymore. And so after I got on the medicine, I lost the weight, pretty quickly. But I can't stay on the medicine. So I had to come off of it. So in order to come off of it, I had to diet and exercise. And so I cut juice out. And I start eating, better foods. I don't really eat fast food at all anymore. So that's what has kept the weight off.
Okay.
And now that the weight is off, I can't go back.
Yeah.
I refuse to go back. I
Yeah.
just feel too good about myself to make myself go back.
Absolutely. Well, you
That's
look absolutely amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
so if you could leave our viewers with something to take with them, what would it be?
Oh, there's so many things I would say, but the main thing that I would say to the viewers is before you can love anyone else, you
mhm.
have to love yourself. You have to, and it's it's a cliche thing to say, but it's much harder to do than it to say. But you have to be, when I think about people that make comments about other people, negative comments about people on Facebook, like think about T.S. Madison, what she's going through with the D.L.
Yeah,
Whisper.
what's right.
And I hate to see that, but there's something wrong with him,
Yes.
something that he sees in himself that he doesn't love about himself.
Mhm.
And so until he can look in the mirror and be happy with who he is,
Mhm.
he's never gonna change. And so you can't be in a relationship. You can't love your family properly. You can't until you got to put yourself first. And I'm in my me phase.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
and I'm
That's a
okay
beautiful
with I
phrase.
yes, I tell people no all the time. One
Without
of my king
explanation.
without explanation, one of my kings, I love him to death, and that's Larry. I love Larry to death. I
Shout
would
out
tell
to
Larry
you.
no in a heartbeat because Larry would drain the energy out of me. But I love him so much. But I will put myself. He's not used to me telling him no though,
Right,
and
right.
so
Hmm.
but I'm in my me phase, and I will say no in a heartbeat because I love myself so much that I know my boundaries, and I know what I don't ever want to go back to that where I have to make a post saying that not okay on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
And so in order to do that, you got to love yourself first. And so there's so many people out there that are in our community that do not love it. And you can tell by looking at by the way they carry themselves. The fact that they don't,
Hmm.
people make posts all the time about people, maybe they don't smell so good or their breath may not be right. These are people that are not going to the doctors. When they're not going to, you're not loving yourself. You
Yeah.
gotta take care of yourself first. You gotta don't go to no pageant. If you can't afford to go to a dentist, why are you spending $40 to get into this pageant?
Girl, let's talk
Mm.
about that because listen, why you doing a pageant and can't afford that shit? Why you
Yes.
in the pageant and your
Yeah,
breath smell like
and you
yesterday's shit?
can, yes,
No.
yes. Listen, that sounds like something little and trivial, but
Yeah.
it's not. That's major. Going to the dentist, going for your
Yeah.
doctor's appointments, all of those things are so important. That's you putting it. My health I wouldn't have lost the weight and got my blood pressure down and my cholesterol under control had I not been going to the doctors and seeing
Right.
about myself. You know,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
that's loving on me. So that's the one nugget for sure that I would tell people.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna interject one last question because I know we got to wrap it up. For people that are entertainers like
Hmm.
us, you know that so many of us live false narratives.
Hmm.
We try to keep up appearances and we try to make people believe that we are something that we are not. And we want people to believe that the person that they see on stage is the real us. What advice would you give to entertainers who do that need to learn how to embrace the person that they really are?
So, if you're trying to, that's such a good question because I think a lot of the vets definitely started out like that. That's why a lot of the girls who are trans women who don't really want to be trans women became trans women because they were trying to live a persona on stage and they wanted that to be their real life. And then they realized that's not really who I am. And
Mhm.
Nicole gave me one of the best pieces of advice when I won Black Universe, or when I won Black Universe, when I won Atlanta
Thank
Universe.
you, girl.
Speak it. But when I won Atlanta Universe, everybody was telling me to go get work. And I mean, everybody wanted me to
Mm.
be a girl because a lot of people, even to this day, people that don't know me, that only know Gia, think that I'm a trans woman.
Yeah.
And
The
so,
information is false.
a lot of people wanted me to go get breasts. I had people offering to pay. And
Oh,
Nicole
girl.
said, "No, ma'am." Nicole was like, she does that for a show. Absolutely not. And so, my suggestion to entertainers who are trying to live this persona on stage is to remind them, whether you're trans or you're just a regular drag performer, once you come off that stage, that stuff gets hung up in the closet. That is not, you have to look at it as your regular persona is what is pushing that person on stage. That person on stage cannot be who they are without who that person behind the camera is. And in order for
Mhm.
you to be a good, and the reason why I think I resonate with people with my talent is because, and I try to do it in my clothes, and if I can get that same type of energy that I have in talent with clothes, the formula is complete. But the reason why I resonate is because I bring my soul of who I am onto the stage. But I don't take that stage person and bring it with me once I come out. That she gets hung up. Gia is in the closet, right? And a matter of fact, she's in the suitcase right in front of me. She is a figment of my imagination and everybody else. She does not exist. And it's harder for trans women because they live their lives as they're women and they're also on stage as women. And if that's what you do for your income, it makes the lines get blurred. But you gotta separate who she is on stage versus who she is on your day-to-day life. Because if you don't, it gets convoluted, and then you become something that you're not, and that's something that you're not happy with, and you also can't let everybody in. Not everybody gets to know who Dominique is personally. Your personal life is your personal life. Now, the Dominique on stage, okay, great. We love her, but your personal, that's that's meant for you and who's in your circle. So I feel there's not a lot of people that know much. That's why a lot of the stuff you learned today, you is your first time hearing it. And I've known Trent for years, and a lot of things he didn't know, because some things that are for Gary are just meant for Gary, and that's it.
I love it. Well, thank you for being so forthcoming. Let me tell you something.
Mm.
Whatever pageant you do that got interviews, these girls are gonna have a little trouble with you. You hear me? Because
Let
baby,
me
you
tell you,
can
I had
chat.
such a good
You have
time. I
chatted
did.
tonight, and we really and Dominique loves a good chatter. You hear me?
Yes.
But you see, I didn't get sleepy.
Let me tell you, I told Trent, I said, and there's a lot of shows out there, and I love them all. I try to watch them, but I can't watch them till the next day because I'll be asleep.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy you two because you get the mix. Dominique is, I love when y'all be on the big show, Dominique cracks me completely up. And then you get Trent, who is gonna keep it a buck and gonna say whatever's gonna come out of it. So so the two of you together mix very well, and you ask questions that are so, like, you pull things out of me that I probably wasn't gonna bring up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that makes for a
Mhm.
good interview. And I knew that I was going to happen. When I talked to Trina, I was like, I want to come on the show. And
Yeah,
Trina was like,
I was like,
let's
for
let's
real?
do it.
Come
Let's
on,
do
let's
it.
do
Because
it.
I enjoy the conversation. It's so organic and it's so real. And I knew it was going to be a good time. So I definitely enjoyed myself.
I'm really glad that you did. And what I think I really liked about the interview, if we put it on like 100%, 75% of the interview is about who you are as a person.
Yep. Yep.
Drag
That's
took
what
the back seat. The 25% was about drag. So, and that's why we do what we do. We want people to get to know the real
the real
individual,
person. Yep.
not the person that's on the stage. You shared so much. And I think that's just so important because there's so many people in our community that are hurting, that just don't know how to find the courage to
Mm-hmm.
break out of whatever it is that they're enduring. And just, I think if we just continue to have people where they say, oh my gosh, she's one of our celebrities. If she's gone through it, then it's
Yes.
okay that I've
Yeah, it's
experienced this. And let
okay.
me,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's why these types of shows are important too, because it it gives people a chance. It gives you guys and the person you're interviewing an outlet, but it also puts a platform for things that are taboo maybe to talk about,
Yeah.
or it
mhm,
just gives a chance for those things to be talked about that you're not going to talk about at a pageant,
Right.
mhm.
or you're not going to talk about it, when you meet somebody. This gives an opportunity for those things to be said. And so these shows are really important. That's why they're doing so well, because people want to know more than, okay, what's the next pageant you get, what gown you wearing, girl. They
Right.
want no more than that. They want no
Mhm.
more than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been delightful. I'm so glad we had this
Yes, I
opportunity. I
am
really
too. I am too.
I learned so much. You know what I'm saying? Like I always say, we're more alike than we're different. That's what people don't even understand.
More like,
No matter
yes.
your status, who you think you are, we're more alike than we're different, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
yes. So thank you so much, Gia.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Trent, you gonna be at Black America?
Absolutely. Will you be there?
I'll see you there.
I'll see you there.
And Dominique, hopefully I'll see you soon. And the next time when I see you, you're not gonna shade me,
Oh,
right?
no, I won't say, hey, child.
Okay.
I'll be
Well,
like,
I appreciate
Gia.
yes, yes. I appreciate it. I can't wait to see both of you.
Right.
Can't
All
wait to
right.
see you
Thank you so much.
too.
Okay. All right.
Bye,
Well, thank you. Have a
sweetheart.
good night. All right. Bye-bye.
Well, that was awesome.
I'm telling you, I've been knowing
That was
Gia for I used to
absolutely
do Gia
awesome.
makeup back in the day, and I didn't know a lot of this stuff. I just didn't know it, but hey, she carried it so well. Just never know what people going through. You just don't.
Absolutely. That was an amazing interview.
Well, we've been up all night. We like to talk after the people leave, but we're gonna get off of here.
Yeah. I need to go to bed because I'll be in Chicago this weekend for
Yeah.
rehearsals.
I'll be in North Carolina with Miss Pat, so I gotta go pack and get ready and so I don't
Don't
miss my
say
flight because TSA is, I said, backed up a little bit because of the government shutdown, you know. Thank you so much, Kim.
thank you,
Thank all
Kim.
y'all for tuning in and watching. We love when y'all interact and watch our interviews and stuff, because the people come forward over here on Beyond the Filter. We really,
Night,
really
Key.
pull the filter back. Good night, Keith. I didn't even know you was on. You didn't even let us know you was in here. Shout out to Keith Archangel. Um, but yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode. This is the 24th episode of Beyond the Filter. It's like 6 months. Can you believe it?
It hasn't. Oh my God.
6 months. And next week we're pulling back the veil on Chevelle. We're pulling back the Chevelle, okay?
Baby, we're
And
about to we're about to
we're gonna
expose
talk to the bone.
everything.
And we want y'all to tune in for that. Also, we'll be on Our Point of View next week on Wednesday. Catch us for that. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your kind words. That has been our show, and we are out of this thing. Love
Good
you.
night, everyone. Love you.